wind me up because
Keeps
that's about the
on
fifth
lifting
time in
me.
a year you've played a song
Keeps
that Rod Stewart has destroyed.
You just have a thing about
It's
Rod.
just Rod Stewart ruining songs.
Who
He's
originally
great.
did that?
I don't know.
See, but that's good.
Yeah, but no, it's fine. It's
Oh, God, you're like.
But sometimes it's just better to play the original, Lee.
Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. Excuse me, 50-50, phone a friend. And all
I
of
think
that.
really what you're searching is songs that are only 2 minutes long or something. You'd squeeze them in.
No, I wanted to play that song
now.
in full, and me and you say, thanks, Lee, see you tomorrow, bye-bye, have a good program.
I've
Lots
cut
of
it off.
good.
I was going to turn it up.
No, were you?
Sorry about that, Lee.
You did, yeah.
No.
So come here, you seem in a good form today?
No,
Was it something to
always
do with the
in
weather?
good
No?
form. No. I'm always I'm pretty
No, don't.
level-headed. I'm always in the same kind of mood.
Sometimes.
But sometimes there's little things that happen, like, say, for instance, if the studio's messy. You know that annoys me.
You are really put out by that.
No, that really bothers me, yeah.
Or if you have to plug in your own headphones,
No,
if I don't do
mind
it for
that,
you.
But, you know...
The hoops and lengths that I go through to get you
I've enough
prepared for your program.
children at home to be chasing after.
And then after you're the big Wayne. I call you daddy, but you're the big Wayne. I have to nurture you in here and get you. Come on now, you'll have a good day at school. Happy smiley face. This is like me saying to you, have a good show now.
Thank you. That's
out
good.
to school you go there.
What are we
now,
going to do when the weather gets worse at the weekend? We've
What-
had so much
when is
good
it, do you
weather.
think?
Saturday's
Do we have to
cloudy,
really talk about
Sundays,
that? Is
Saturday
it?
and Sunday's going to be
But
cooler.
it's going to be wetter than usual. This is the way they flagged
said
it up.
that?
The
Never
Met
heard
Aaron,
that. No,
they did.
no.
It's going to be, yeah.
Never heard that at all. I think you're talking nonsense.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of get used to this weather and you just hope it'll be around forever.
Do you know, some people were saying to me, sure, that's our summer over there. I think just live in the moment. Let's lap it up. And you never know. Surprise, surprise. We're going to get another few good
Enjoy
weeks.
today because we're not promised tomorrow.
Correct, Daddy.
Have a great day,
You
Lee.
have a good show, right?
Lee Gooch back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update. And we cross over now to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. €35 million of investment has been announced for Donegal under the Health Executive's capital plan for 2020. Processed fish for human consumption. It's after 750 tonnes of blue whiting had been turned into fish meal after a pierside monitor was carried out in Killybegs over the weekend. Donegal Deputy Patrick O'Gallagher says it's morally wrong that perfectly good food's being turned into fish meal when the market's crying out for them. He says every effort must be made to protect fish during landings.
The policy has to change. We in Ireland are great implementing European policies to the letter of the law. This is not trying to do anything untoward. It's to maintain the quality of the fish. And if they went straight to the factories where they could be weighed there, and the factories are full of cameras, and they can be viewed by the fishery officers from their offices in Killybegs. It's just not good enough.
US tariffs are now in effect. It's impacting countries across the world and raises fears of a recession. Ireland is facing a 20% levy on goods exported to the US. And Taoiseach Simon Harris is in Washington today for talks with US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Analysts are warning to expect more swings both up and down for financial markets in the days ahead. The US president says the tariffs will be legendary.
I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch, legendary in a positive way, I have to say.
A cancer survivor and campaigner has arranged a third protest outside Letterkenny University Hospital in a bid to see better care facilities for patients. Rosina Doherty says the next protest is due to take place on Saturday the 26th of April. She's taken to social media to appeal for more people to attend. The first protest came off the back of findings that people who receive a cancer diagnosis in Donegal are more likely to begin their treatment late. It's National Slow Down Day. It's the second 24-hour enforcement operation so far this year. Today, the focus is not only on speed, but also on having a conversation about the country's driver behaviour. Sarah O'Connor from the RSA says they want people to slow down, think and talk.
As well as asking people to slow down, we are asking people to take the time to talk about speed with their friends, their family, their colleagues and their loved ones.
Looking now to the weather forecast, dry and sunny again with any mist clearing early on. Highest temperatures of 15 to 19 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
If you're aged 80 or over, or have a weak immune system, it's time to get your COVID-19 spring booster vaccine. You can also get the booster if you're aged between 70 to 79 and you didn't get a COVID-19 vaccine in the last 12 months. Your spring booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 and help protect you from serious illness. Talk to a participating GP or pharmacist today, or call our HSE live team on 1800 700 700. Visit hse.ie for more information. From the HSE.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 3 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 9th of April 2025. How are you all getting on? I do hope you're very well indeed. It's great to have you back with us again. It's essential, actually, because otherwise I'd just be sitting here talking to myself. But we are not at that, are we? We've got 3 hours coming up of all the usual mix of stuff that you'd expect. Will be across all the major issues and stories affecting Donegal and beyond, and little chats here and there, and all your comments. And I want your comments in too, by the way. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp and text the show. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to text for the first time. We appreciate everyone's points of view, and your views as important as the next person. So get it out there, shared. 086 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, it's 074 91 25,000, or you can email comments at highlandradio.com. And good morning to Kathy and Dolores, among the hundreds already joining to watch the show live across the various platforms and on our website as well. If you're at home, you can watch on your big TV, your smart TV and Fire Stick. On the YouTube app, just type in Highland Radio Ireland and you'll see we're live. And we're on your Facebook and X profiles as well. We'll start with the local paper out today, and a positive story from the Finn Valley Voice. A Castlefin native who survived a bone marrow transplant following an MDS diagnosis, a form of blood cancer, in spring 2023, has raised €4,000 at a recent coffee morning at the White House Garden CPI Centre, Castlefin, for the Daffodil Centre in Letterkenny. What an amazing total to raise from a coffee day, to raise anyway, actually, for that matter. Bernie McGee says that the staff at the centre were a huge support to her and that she did not know about the service at the beginning of her cancer journey. And what a great thing she's achieved there. The Irish Daily Mail this morning: the surgeon at the centre of the Temple Street spinal surgery scandal lied about the corrosive material of unapproved springs he wrongfully implanted into 3 children, a new report has found, and it is a damning report. The review into the controversy has exposed a series of failures in Children's Health Ireland governance and reporting mechanisms which led to the surgeries taking place. Dr. Jim Brown, the chair of CHI, the body overseeing children's hospitals across the country, stepped down just 1 hour after the review was published yesterday as he apologised to the families affected. And the surgeon in question was quite routinely named in previous press coverage, but not so much now. Taoiseach Micheál Martin said the idea that you would use springs outside of the entire protection framework is beyond belief, as he put the blame squarely on the clinician referred to as Surgeon A in the report. The 171-page document has found that Surgeon A bypassed protocol while ordering the springs and failed to conduct adequate safety examinations before installing the untested devices in children. And I do believe there is a Donegal family that is affected by this. My understanding is at this time they're choosing not to speak out publicly. But as I say, when we're reading this, I'm conscious that there are people potentially listening to this programme that are directly affected by this scandal. Surgeon A stopped performing surgeries in 2023 and has been referred to the Irish Medical Council for investigation. My understanding too is that people speak quite highly of him and the stuff that he was doing, bar this experimental inclusion of springs. Well, the report notes that Surgeon A originally told the Health Information and Quality Authority, which was tasked with conducting the review, that the springs were made at medical grade stainless steel, a material sometimes used for surgical implants. HIQA subsequently found the springs ordered were made of a material called non-alloyed spring steel, which is not used for surgical implantation. So, I mean, it's a horrendous story, isn't it? And it's interesting for once maybe to see some accountability, some resignations taking place. The Irish Independent this morning, Taoiseach Simon Harris meets US Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick for the first time today as 20% tariffs against EU goods come into effect. While addressing those crippling impositions, Mr. Harris is expected to explain that Ireland is not a tax haven operating a scam, and these tariffs are huge. They're going to have a huge impact, certainly on the spending power of Americans, but also on the income from countries around the world. Thinking on China, 104% import taxes effectively Donald Trump has imposed there. So if you're an American and you buy something from China, you are facing an additional 104% on its cost, and it is the person buying, just to be clear, that is paying that. And we were speaking to Ian from Lottie Dolls there, and he was talking of their business model, which is similar to many, an Irish company that has a manufacturing base in China, and then the products are directly transported from China to the likes of the United States. And that's just one local company owned by Ian Harkin there that now his product, although he has a lot of product in the United States already, he said, and maybe hopefully that allows companies time for common sense to prevail, but it means that any new products going, if they're on a container ship on the way to the United States at the moment, the consumer's paying double the price. You know that's going to affect sales at any company. Well, the polite pushback from Simon Harris will come after Mr. Lutnick used such terms in highlighting Ireland as a country with a huge trade imbalance with the United States. He also pointed to the huge colony of US pharma companies in Ireland, making Mr. Harris's special mission to Washington, D.C. even more sensitive. Well, that story was written before the inevitable happened. You might remember when the tariffs were first announced by Donald Trump, people were saying, whoopee, pharmaceuticals aren't included. And I pointed out that there was provision in the document released, and I said it a couple of times, and I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I said on a number of occasions that Donald Trump had left provision in his policy to introduce specific tariffs for specific areas of trade. And unfortunately, the chickens are coming home to roost. This will impact our tax take at the very least. US President Donald Trump has said that he will soon put tariffs on pharmaceuticals as he ramps up the worrying trade war. Punishing tariffs on dozens of economies come into force this morning, including, as I mentioned, over 100% in levies against Chinese goods. Late last night, Trump said, we're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals. We're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals. When they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because most of their product is sold here. He's concerned about the ability of the United States in a major event to generate medicine for its own people, and also obviously the tax take as well. He stated that in his Rose Garden speech. This is now whereby I think almost you're at the point this is going to hit Ireland potentially so hard that if you support Trump and what he's doing, it's almost anti-Irish, to be honest with you, because we're all going to feel this in some form or other. Now, that's if everything plays out as he intends. Industry group, the Irish Pharmaceutical Healthcare Association, previously told The Journal, who I'm taking this story from, that it believes the real impact in the dispute between the White House and the EU will be seen 4 or 5 years from now. This is due mainly to the timescale for investment in the industry's large-scale manufacturing plants. So, you know, you can't up and move out of Ireland straight away. That being said, we don't know what impact the tariffs might have. I know a lot of you follow the Enoch Burke story, so there's an update in many of the papers today. I'll take this from the Irish Times. More than €40,000 has been seized from Enoch Burke's bank account on foot of High Court orders enforcing the payment of thousands of euro in fines owed by the school teacher, a court has heard. Mr. Justice David Nolan yesterday ordered Mr. Burke to pay legal costs incurred by Wilson's Hospital School and the Attorney General in the proceedings, though Mr. Burke continually spoke over the judge as he gave his ruling. 2 of Mr. Burke's family members, his mother Martina and sister Amy, were removed from the courtroom by Gardaí during the hearing. Previously, following an application by the Attorney General, Mr. Justice Nolan made an order appointing a receiver to receive Mr. Burke's salary and a garnishing order over his bank account for up to €79,000. the amount that was owed by the teacher over his continued failures to abide by court orders prohibiting him from attending at Wilson's Hospital School in Multifarnham in County Westmeath. So there was a bit and back and forth. Obviously, Enoch Burke was protesting his innocence, and I think the judge referred to him as a petulant schoolboy or something along those lines. I've stopped watching the Grand National because I didn't enjoy it anymore. I don't know. I think it's an age thing, but I just stopped watching it because, you see the horses and the jockeys falling and the horses being exhausted, and it just felt like watching it. I was complicit in it. I just don't need it in my life, if you know what I mean. I don't think any of us need it. I could be talking out of my hat there, but when you read stories like this, it sort of makes you think. A horse which collapsed in the Grand National has died, sparking anger from animal welfare campaigners. Célèbre Delaine, I think the horse's name is, pardon me if I've got that wrong, passed away 3 days after falling during the latter stages of Saturday's showpiece race at Aintree. The tragedy has reignited concerns about safety in racing. Jockey Michael Nolan was handed a 10-day suspension by stewards for his decision to continue to ride the horse when he had no more to give after jumping the penultimate fence. The 13-year-old gelding, trained by Philip Hobbs and Johnston White, stayed at Aintree overnight on Saturday before heading back to their stables for further treatment. Hobbs and White said in a statement, "We're heartbroken to share that Célèbre Delaine has passed away. He received the very best treatment in the veterinary teams and was improving." But the horse was quite old and was clearly in distress. That's why the jockey has been suspended. And he's not the only horse, or they are not the only horse to perish at the Grand National. We invest a great deal of money into it. And I do note as well that there's a really high profile medical company with their logo on the side of this horse. And you do wonder for how long would a company want to be associated with the images of a horse with its neck turned back or lying prostrate beneath a hedge. It does seem a strange bit of product placing. But anyway, have you any views about the Grand National horse racing in general? Do you support it? Do you think it's important? Obviously, we're talking about industries in this country. It is a big industry, but I mean, like, there's millions upon millions of euro of your money invested in, horse racing and greyhound racing. 28 odd million it was some years. Not sure what it was this year. Is it sort of a thing of the past? I think punters aren't going in as great numbers anymore, but I think that's to do with the cost. But anyway, have you a view on it? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. 086 60 25,000. Maybe I'm talking woke nonsense. The government has slammed several religious orders after only 2 of the 8 linked to mother and baby homes offered to contribute to a survivor redress scheme. The Sisters of Bon Secours offered 12.97 million, a sum deemed as meaningful and accepted by the government. The Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul has proposed contributing a building in the scheme. That offer is to be considered by government. A third religious body, the Sisters of St. John of God's, declined to contribute to the scheme, but offered a conditional donation of €75,000 to be used for a charitable purpose associated with mother and baby home survivors. The remaining 5 bodies have made no offer. The details were contained in a report by Sheila Noonan, the independent negotiator appointed by the government to engage with the organisations over financial redress. So most of them not putting their hands in their pockets. And lastly, like a bit of boxing, I'm talking about banning horse racing. Many people might sort of talk about banning boxing. But anyway, Katie Taylor's, I think we're heading towards her last fight. She's owes the world of boxing nothing. I think she single-handedly launched female boxing. I don't think that's any exaggeration. She single-handedly got women's boxing into the Olympics. That's indisputable. But I do remember the very first interview, actually, I was watching a boxing, and her and Eddie Hearn, she was turning over, as they say in boxing terms, and she talked of what she wanted to achieve and what she wanted to see in women's boxing. And between her and Eddie Hearn, they seem to have delivered much of it. And she is such hot property, and I suppose it's historic in that it might be the last time to see her. The most expensive tickets for Katie Taylor's trilogy bout with Amanda Serrano are being sold for $1 million. The Bray boxer will take on the Puerto Rican for a third time on July 11th at Madison Square Garden in New York for the undisputed Super Light Championship. Super Lightweight. The kind of problem I have is with this trilogy is she's too light. Serrano's much lighter than Katie Taylor, and Katie Taylor is probably, you know, quite old as a boxer. I'm not really that interested because, as I say, Serrano has come up so many weights to make this trilogy happen. But anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, if you want to comment on anything we mentioned there in the papers, it's 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts, or give us a call too if you prefer on 07491 25,000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more, helping you celebrate Easter. Make their morning with Tesco finest breakfast favourites like hand-tied Irish pork sausages, white or black pudding, Irish Canadian maple rashers, and corn-fed eggs, any 3 for €6. Get more from your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in most stores. Prices vary in Express.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
New this week in Home Store and More, all Rattan Garden furniture is 33% off. But better hurry, because when all our 33% off Rattan Garden furniture is gone, it's gone. We have a great range of Rattan Garden furniture, from corner sets to dining and bistro sets. Like our Parma Rattan Corner Sofa set, only $499.50. Or our Sereno 7-piece Rattan Dining set, only $299.50. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
At DoorTech Garage Door Systems in Kilmacrennan, we specialise in the supply and installation of all types of industrial roller doors and garage doors. Whether for your home, business or farm, our doors offer the security you need. For premium quality doors, call DoorTech on 9139941 or visit doortech.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 20 past 9, I beg your pardon. I don't know where I was going with that. 6. Donegal County Council has been asked to meet with the families bereaved in the Creasla tragedy after it emerged this week that the council made a submission to An Bord Pleanála supporting the development of the site. Councillor Thomas Sean Devine described it as a slap in the face to the families, suggesting that a building was being prioritised over grieving families. And we all know how sensitive a topic this is. Councillor Thomas Sean Devine of the 100% Redress Party joins me now. I suppose, in fairness, Thomas, the council would have been asked to submit the reasoning for approving this planning application, and of course they only could consider planning matters. I don't think there is a provision within sort of the planning system to take into consideration people's feelings or emotions. Would you agree with that, or do you think that's an unfair assessment?
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, dear listeners. Greg, I understand with a councillor's stance or councillor's procedures that they have to follow. But I think in a case like this, Greg, where 10 people lost their lives, there's a lot more sensitivity to it, and I do believe that the council would have to take in the grieving families and their stance and their feelings on this, you know what I mean? This is just not your normal planning application. You know, we have 10 grieving families there, and I think that the council would needed to sat down. My point on the council yesterday was that we're always reading stuff on the media and social media before the families was actually getting any information on it, and I think that was totally wrong, and I think that was heartbreaking, you know, that the night the day that the plan was made on the site, that the families waited the next day, but yet no, it was highlighted all over social media the evening before that this was granted. And I think that's what the slap in the face is, Greg. It is, these families is grieving, and this is constantly being brought up. And I don't think, my personal opinion, Greg, that they need to find another site in Creasler for phone station. Let these families get on with their grieving and get on, not this constant been brought up.
Yeah, I think the problem is though, or the contention is, Thomas, that there isn't an alternative site, and whilst we have to be incredibly sensitive to the bereaved families and everything that they've gone through, there is also others that are of the view that Creasler does need, another facility in the heart of the town for its prosperity and its future and for everyone. And it's very difficult to see how all of those views can be met, if you know what I mean, given the sensitive nature of this particular site. But there's no other sites, we're told.
Totally understand that the Creasler needs another phone station, it needs a shop, post office, and it needs the whole lot. Nobody's going to object anything to that at all. I think, Greg, the sensitivity and the nature of the site that it's going to go back up on, that's where the difficulty lies, for these families. And as I say, I couldn't support it, in a personal capacity as a councillor. I was elected to represent the people, hey, and I represent them at will. And I don't believe that, and that's just me, and I know there's an ongoing appeal to get into this. I don't believe, Greg, that the sensitivity, the grievance of these families has been taken into consideration on this. And I know legally they probably can't, Greg, and the council probably can't take feelings on it, but this is such a sensitive issue. And as I say, like, I'm a father of 5 children, Greg, and I was hit the thought to lost a child in such a situation as some of these families have, that people just go ahead and put another block building in the place of the feelings. It's very hard.
And I do find myself putting myself in that position, and God forbid if it were one of my children or anyone close to me, the idea that someone might be standing on their final resting place, or where they lost their lives, pumping petrol. It would be hard to fathom. And I suppose if you look at the plans, I'm not sure what consultation there was, if any, with families as it relates to how their memories would be marked. Obviously, that is contained within the plans, and also too, there is I can only go by the plans, a very small remembrance garden, which is just a small patch of grass with bike racks against it, effectively. That's hard to swallow for families, I would imagine, or at least some of them.
Yeah,
you try and look at it objectively, but I mean, you can't detach yourself from what it would feel like if it were you when you look at some of this stuff.
No, it is, Greg. It's heartbreaking, to be quite honest. Like, they imagine what they're going through, And my spoke yesterday in the council was basically that the council need please bring these families on, sit down and talk to them. And before any future stuff that's out there, we're all glad of media, Greg. We're all glad of the stuff that he's doing. But I mean, before anything that would be in the public domain again, that the families at least is notified before it's out there. So they don't have to.
And it's not also just in relation to that. It's not actually even when in terms of the last decision, letters are issued to family members, but they also then have to make contact and inform other members of the family, sons and daughters, cousins, and what have you, who have been affected by this. And when the information is leaked before those letters even arrive, it is very damaging, because there's trauma here, and trauma can sometimes be different to grief, and that is not always considered. One of the proposals you've made, the planning process is the planning process, and the planning process was followed, and maybe some people might be able to appeal certain elements of that, but the council followed the planning process. And on board Planala will as well. So if everything is in order with the planning in terms of the planning process, then on board Planala presumably can't overturn that again because of people's feelings. And I don't mean that in any way harsh. So you're
No.
suggesting the council acquire this site via a compulsory purchase order, and then it can be determined what to do with it. Is that in the best interests of all of Creasler, in your view? Because you say you are there to represent all of the people, Thomas.
Yeah. You see, Greg, I was putting a motion on a few months back about that, and then I couldn't put it in because it was an ongoing planning application, and it could jeopardise planning approval or reject it, whatever. So the motion was withdrawn. And my plan is, Greg, that the council take over that site. That would be my aim, and build the memorial ground, whatever, and find another site in Creasler. Sure there has to be another site in Creasler.
Well, you see, we're told there isn't. We've told that in terms of a shop, post office, service station that would be in Creasler, we are told that there aren't any other sites, that this is it. And there are other businesses in the area too. I'm not sure what their views are that would benefit too from a return of the heart of Creasler. And I say, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I said right at the top, this is incredibly sensitive, but we have to tease this stuff through too as well, don't we, Thomas?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I definitely fully understand, Greg, where you're coming from, but as I say, Greg, the way I was brought up, a very good woman, God rest her, my mother, who fostered dozens and dozens of children down through the years in our home. She's a kind-natured woman, and I think I sort of took a wee bit after. My feelings, Greg, people's feelings and people's grief would come before a building in my eyes. There's always a feeling Creasler where something else could be. That's the way I look at things, Greg, and I could be far wrong. But that's the way I feel, Greg. And a lot of people feel that, listen, we're dealing with 10 grieving families here, and some of the families that I've been speaking to, Greg, it's heartbreaking for them.
No, of course it is. But Thomas, again, just because I'm trying to cover all views from people listening as well, being very conscious that there are some people very directly affected by this. But unfortunately, in this county, we see all too often fatal road traffic collisions, and we've seen collisions where there have been, multiple occupants of the vehicle killed, and it's actually horrible to think of it like this, but the road's closed for 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. The Gardaí and the forensics go in and do their bit, and then the roads reopened again, and within 2 days, there's cars, driving along where people have very sadly lost their lives. Considering that is the case, I mean, theoretically, we'd almost have to avoid driving on those roads to avoid the insensitivities that we potentially could see in Creasler, if that makes sense, Thomas. Again, I'm not even comfortable posing that scenario, but as I say, I believe that we have to talk about everything.
I don't think the two of them would be, and I know people lose their lives in the roads, Greg, and God love them, and God love their families, but I don't think it's in the same scenario. This is a fixed building on a site, Greg, and we have to still take into consideration, Greg, there's still an ongoing investigation. This all hasn't come out yet, what happened, the investigation's still ongoing, and we're going to go ahead and build a shop there an investigation is still ongoing. But as regarding the road traffic incidents, Greg, and explosion and tragedy in Creasler, I don't think they're compared, Greg, to be honest, even though
I respect that. No, I understand that.
But I see, Greg, that I know there's people and probably in Creasler would like this shop back open on the same side of this, and I have to take their feelings consideration of it too. But Greg, I have to put the feelings of the bereaved families on the
100%, as we have many occasions on this show as well. Just a number of people pointing out that Omagh was rebuilt following the tragedies there. Another pointing out that would you have been opposed to the rebuilding in Omagh and Enniskillen after the bombings? I mean, these aren't necessarily your views either. These are, I think you're representing the views of at least some of the families. So that's what you'll do. Does it matter whether you believed Enniskillen or Omagh should have been rebuilt in the vicinity of the bombings there?
Greg, you see, Enniskillen and Omagh was bombings, another completely different scenario. This was a tragedy. I'm not even going to speculate what it was, because I don't know, Greg. I can only listen to what's out in the public domain, what happened there. But, like, Omagh and Enniskillen is two areas I know nothing about, Greg, and the bombs and that and tragedies and lots of people lost their lives. You know, it's a scenario that, I mean, up for the Oma people to decide, and Enniskillen, Greg, I couldn't comment on because I'm not from up there, and I couldn't comment, but the feelings was the same. Only I could say that it was absolutely horrifying what happened, you know, but I can't, Greg, say I can only speak for the people that have been speaking to me from Creesla and living in Letterkenny here on tragedy and Creesla. And as I say, every tragedy, Greg, is horrifying. And I say that Oma and Enniskillen would have been the same.
Yeah.
There's no
I just think
about it.
sometimes things have happened very quickly. And I know from speaking to families, they have felt somewhat outside of the process. I think a lot of that doesn't help. You know what I mean, about the redevelopment of this side. I think if maybe you're never going to get everyone to agree, but I think if people didn't feel that they were finding out the information through unofficial channels, or that decisions were being made as to how to honour their loved ones, for an example,
I think
it could have been done maybe differently.
The council, I do believe, government needed to be more in direct contact with these families when decisions wasn't made. It wasn't happening, Greg. It didn't happen. You know, they weren't consulted in all this planning and stuff like that. And I think, Greg, if things like that had happened, things might be different. You know what I mean? There's people you need to be consulting people, speaking to people, taking on this. What I'm saying, Greg, their feelings, their grief wasn't taken into consideration with anything. Nobody was speaking to them. Nobody was telling them anything. When they were contacting the council, they were put on hold on the phone. They were told planning was away for the day, and then a registered letter sent out, but it was on social media all that evening that was approved and that, and it's hurtful, Greg. You know,
right. Some of the comments were getting in, and it's not necessarily always reflected of the majority view. But what about the North and all the atrocities which you mentioned? There'd be a lot of empty sites if that was the stance they took. You've already responded to that. Another, it's ridiculous that Councillor Devine would back such a move. We rule the country on law and nothing else. It concerns me that Councillor Devine has made this proposal. And another, I disagree with Councillor Devine. As a local resident of Creesla, yes, I understand the pain, but the need for the local amenity is more important at this time to the village. So there are varying views out there on this, and on your stance on this as well.
Yeah, no, Greg, that's everybody's entitled to. That's why we live in a good democratic society. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, Greg, and I have entitled to mine and my own feelings. And as I say, I would dread to see if it was one of my own children, Greg. You know, and I have to understand how these families feel, and that's.
All right. Can the Creesla shop and post office not go back to its original site on the main street where it was years ago? But obviously nowadays part of the business model is fuel, and people need to be able to access fuel for their farm machineries, cars, vans, etc. Okay. I suppose do you know if there's been any advance on the calls for Ombud Pleanála to host an oral hearing on this, where families would be able to, I suppose, speak directly to the ABP about their decision?
I haven't heard, Greg, yet, but I've been making inquiries about it here the other day. It was late on yesterday evening when this was talked about in the council, and I'm actually just in Barbara here, the physio, Sunday physio, Greg, so as soon as I come out, I will be making inquiries about that.
All right, I've continued luck with the recovery. Thanks very much, Councillor Thomas Sean Devine. Again, you know, there's some subjects I'm not so comfortable talking about because I feel like I'm talking about how, you know, people who've been bereaved should feel, but it is a major story. It is one that is obviously going to be picked up nationally potentially, and it's important we talk about it as well as sensitively as possible. Good morning, Greg. I would really appreciate if some of the councillors could go have a drive along the road from the barracks in Carragart to Mickey Joe's shop and see if they think that road is in an acceptable condition. It's a disgrace to expect motorists to travel in that condition. There were pipes laid on that stretch of road and a drain left. It's going to cause a collision with people crossing the road to try and avoid it, as well as wrecking our cars. Are we paying tax? We expect to have a road to travel on. Mind you, Clagan's not much better. The same thing happened 3 years ago, years ago with pipe laying. I'm asking, please, councillors, have a look. Answer me. Is this an acceptable condition to leave a main road in a main tourist area? Thank you for highlighting it. I drive this road from time to time. It sunk really quickly. have a feeling the council might be working on that really quite soon. They'd need to do something about it because, that, as you mentioned, for all the reasons you've outlined, and there are roads like this, I'm sure, all around the county. But I wouldn't be surprised if the council were working on that really soon. Perhaps they should. Right, I'm going to take a very quick break, and then Paddy's going to join me. Just stay there for 2 minutes, Paddy.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Exterior painting time is here, and Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny have you covered. The largest stockists of paint in the northwest, Foy's have Dulux Weather Shield, Coloured Trend Weather, Little Green Exterior, Fleetwood Weather Clad, and all the accessories you'll need. Whether you're after the perfect colour or expert technical advice, Foy's is a place to go. Don't settle for less. Get the best at Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny.
This spring, give your home an instant glow-up with Hillary's. Right now in our spring sale, save up to 40% off hundreds of made-to-measure styles. But wait, there's more. For a limited time only, get an extra 10% off everything. Blinds, curtains, shutters, even products already in the sale. Hurry, this flash event ends 17th of April. And remember, with Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included. Book your free home appointment now at hillary.ie. Hillary's, transforming homes across Ireland for over 40 years. Conditions apply.
It's not just that Ilma and Julio's crops have been destroyed by extreme floods and drought. It's not just that this has happened again and again. It's not just that fear for their children's future grows greater every day. Climate change is pushing families in Guatemala further into poverty. And it's not just. Please support the Trócaire Box appeal this Lent, because for these families, it's not just a box, it's a lifeline. Give what you can. Call 1-800-408-408 or visit trócaire.org. Trócaire, together for a just world.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Now, sorry for holding you, Paddy. Yours is a really quite. I read the original text you sent in, Paddy, and I was taken aback by it. I'll just let you explain to the listeners.
Yeah, we had 4 daughters involved in the Priestly explosion. 3 of them was actually trapped in the shop and on the forecourt. Another girl, then she witnessed her sister's been buried in the explosion, and it's just that we've been left high and dry now. Like we've had no consultation with anybody. We had heard nothing about any inquiry. We all found out through social media of everything that's going on. Like we have nobody to liaison with us. We've just been left high and dry. Good luck to you now, just at this stage, like.
How could there be a thorough investigation or an inquiry if 3 people who were in the shop have not been spoken to, or the 4th person who witnessed it? Is it to do with their ages, Paddy? I can't understand how this could be classed as thorough, or if these people haven't been spoken to.
They have been spoken to. They were interviewed in Letterkenny,
right?
But they haven't. We haven't. It's an investigation. Like we haven't heard nothing back about the investigation.
I get you. Right. So you're not being liaised with about the investigation.
No, we're not being liaised. Like it's just like we was injured. Like where you go. Like that's how the girls feel at the minute. They haven't. They've been in the shop. We live quite close to the shop. Nobody came to us to say they're building a shop. They know my girls. My girls are in that shop every day. Like, but nobody's come to us, to my door, to say, "Oh, how would you feel? You said 4 injured in this. How would you feel if we built the shop?" We've heard nothing. Like, it's more or less. the maddening about it. Like, we are locals. Like, they could have come and asked us about the shop, but nobody came in.
Right, okay. So just to be clear, Paddy, because I don't want to misrepresent, they have been spoken to as part of the investigation, but they haven't had any contact in relation to the ongoing investigation, and there has been zero consultation as it relates to plans for this site. And
no.
What a traumatic experience for them to have been in the building. You would imagine they'd have been a priority to be kept abreast of everything that's happening.
Nothing. But no, it's just, we haven't, it's any meetings or anything that we went to, it was through Donna and Hugh that invited us to these meetings, but we haven't heard anything else from anybody or nothing, like. Which is just, it seems unfair for the girls at this stage, like. Their point of view is not taken into this. Their feelings haven't been taken into consideration for the new shop to be built or anything like that, like.
Were they able to get, counselling or what have you through the Red Cross services or what have you, if they've been supported in that regard?
Through ourselves, we've got all that sort of stuff for them, like they still got going to counselling and stuff.
So you had to, you as a family had to fund that yourselves?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's remarkable. 4 of them were directly impacted by this. 3 of them in the shop.
Well, it's a battle, like. A constant battle. If you bang a door in the house and there's jumping, or bang a bit of the car, or you bang something outside and they're jumping, like, it's just, there's no one. That's just.
Are they able to talk about what it felt like to be in the shop at the time? Do they? It must be very difficult to sleep. But as you say, it's
difficult to sleep. It is, and it's hard for Dad because you can't help them.
No, you want to take it from them, but you can't, can you? You can just support them.
No.
And like, what are they? These teenagers, Paddy?
My oldest now is 17, and the next one, then she would be 15.
Right, so
they're 14.
They're mature girls, so mature girls, they must be saying, "Well, why am I seeing this on Facebook, or why am I seeing this on the news? Why are they not telling us how things are going?"
A wee bit of compassionate.
Yeah.
Reach out. We're not hard to find. Like, reach out and find us. Like, instead of letting everything go to social media and the papers having it first. Like,
yeah. Paddy, you say you're a local directly affected by this, and your girls directly affected by this as well. What are your views on plans for the redevelopment of this site? Can you see any argument for it in any form at all?
Well, for it to go ahead now is a real kick in the face. That's, like, I have no problem with a shop in Priest, but not on the site. The site's too painful. Like, my girls walk past that to get the bus in the morning. They walk past it come home from school. They walk past the shop, the site now, to go meet friends and stuff. Like, it has an emotional effect on them. Like, and even for our family, for us to go down past it every day and stuff, it's cold. Like, it's cold.
And of course, you don't know yet what caused this. Is anyone responsible?
No.
Was it an accident? You're not being given this information, so you're presumably having to. You mentioned the Harpers there. I take it then you're having to find out information about this investigation secondhand.
Yeah, we are.
I would have thought, even if the girls are teenagers, they're not adults yet, that someone like yourself, Paddy, would be nominated to be given this information, as all families are given this information, to pass it on to them.
No, nothing. We've heard nothing. It's just whatever we pick up on social media, or we're in contact with Donna and Hugh and them. That's the only second-hand information we're getting.
All right, okay.
My point of view is, like, how can Donegal County Council go on with this, give permission when there's still an investigation going on the site, like? That my point of view is that should have been shelved until investigation, everything's done, like.
What do you think, Paddy, from talking to the people in the community that you're a part of? Do you think there is a difference of opinion as to whether this site should be redeveloped, or do you think most people are for it, or most people are against it? We know how you feel, but you're out and about, as getting on with your lives as best as you can. What do you think Creasler feels about this?
I think it's quite a touchy subject at the minute with a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's kind of two sides to the story, and it is a difficult one to call. Like.
Yeah. Because you will have people that will have the utmost of sympathy for how it's impacted your family and the deceased, but they'll also say, well, we need these facilities, or life must move on, or you're saying that the sort of those different views are coexisting at the moment. It's probably a conversation people don't want to have.
No, nobody wants to speak about it. Like,
yeah,
it's still quite touchy subject. Like, at the same time.
All right. Okay, Paddy, how are they getting on for the most part? I mean, obviously, as you say, they're hypersensitive to noises and bangs, and God knows what they experienced in the noise of metal and stone and screams. It must have just been horrendous for them. But are you happy with the way they seem to be coping with it, generally speaking?
Aye, they're dealing with it as best they can, I suppose, at the minute.
All right, okay.
But it's like just later on in life, how is it going to affect them later on? Maybe 10, 15 years down the line, whatever. Like.
That's it. I'm surprised too that you have to fund the supports themselves, considering the massive amount of money that the public donated to this. I think they would have done it with the view that 4 people directly affected by this would have received counselling out of that. I hope that's not controversial, but I think most people who donated, I know when I donated, I would have expected you not to have to pay for counselling for this. But anyway. All right, Paddy, thanks for your insight into it. I do appreciate it, and incredibly conscious of how sensitive it is. I'm sorry to repeat myself, but a caller says, I live in Creasler, and everyone I've spoken to, including my own opinion, they want to shop back in our village. I think the majority of locals are of the same opinion, but are afraid to voice this in case of offending those who lost loved ones. And there's Paddy, who's been directly affected by it through injury to his daughters. He recognises as well that it's a tough, tricky subject. I wonder how many individual families object to the Creasler development. Sometimes it's just a few who are of one opinion or other. Someone should canvass all affected families and get their individual opinion out of the glare of the media. Caroline, the legal representatives, could you just check over that in terms of the law firm that's representing, representing a number of families and other individuals, and just get a sense if they have a official position through the law firm as it relates to this. Just to be, I want to make sure that we're covering as many views as is possible, of course, especially and particularly and essentially by those that are directly affected.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Get the job done with the right tools or equipment from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. From power tools to hand tools and diggers to dumpers, you'll find all you need at Watson's. Scissor lifts, generators, power washers, whatever you need to get the job done. For a fast and reliable hire service, contact Watson Hire Lisnanen in Letterkenny on 9167777 or see watsonhire.ie.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work, or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic, and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny, protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 9126.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
All right, dry and sunny again today. Temperatures 15 to 19 degrees. Now, as you would have heard us mention in the papers, and it's everywhere, of course, the surgeon at the centre of the Temple Street spinal surgery scandal lied about the corrosive materials of unapproved springs he wrongfully implanted into 3 children. And those are sort of quotes from the report that was published today. Amanda Coughlin is part of a parent-led voluntary group advocating for children living with spina bifida and or hydrocephalus in Ireland. Amanda, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning. What's your reaction to this report?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I think the whole nation's thoughts are with the families directly affected. And while I think the narrative that is spun by CHI at the moment is this will never happen again, it was 3 children. It was 3 children. It was 3 vulnerable children. And there should have been safety procedures, mechanisms, procedures and procurement that it never should have gotten to this. This should never have happened again, and telling us that it will never happen in the future is simply not good enough.
So how do we avoid it? You know what I mean? If that's not good enough, what would be good enough? What would your group, and I understand one of the children affected by this is a member of the group, what do you believe needs to be done now to reassure people that it wouldn't happen again?
Well, I suppose to the Department of Health, the Minister for Health and the HSE, I think they need to investigate whether they can have the confidence in CHI moving forward to the new Children's Hospital, and whether CHI should be allowed to continue in the entity that it is. I think there is a scope for investigation whether CHI, which is run by an independent group, should now be amalgamated back into the HSE.
This is a trust issue too, isn't it, going forward? Because, you know, assurance in and of itself is not enough. If this could happen, if someone could go on a solo run like this and it not be picked up, how can we be assured it wouldn't happen again? So, because we trust, don't we? As I say, it's a trust issue. We hand our children or our loved ones over to these teams, and, you know, most of the time they do the best they can, but you know, we need something else to reassure us and to build that trust again, I think.
Well, the advocacy group that we've been running has been running for 10 years. So we've been highlighting for 10 years the issues in relation to CHI. You'll see that the chair of the board of CHI stepped down yesterday. I met with the chair of the board in 2018 and highlighted grave concerns then. So they can't say that they weren't concerned, that we had concerns about a number of issues in CHI. We met with HICWA when the investigation was starting. We asked for HICWA to widen the scope of their investigation because we had information to provide, and we had about other areas that needed to be investigated. And unfortunately, our request fell on deaf ears.
Okay. Amanda, thank you so much for your time. Amanda Coughlin there. Just as we approach the news at 10 o'clock, a caller says, I totally agree with you on horse racing, etc. I've never agreed with this exploitation of innocent animals for profit. It's not natural and is a form of cruelty. And my situation is different in that my views have changed in recent years, and I haven't been influenced by, you know, any individual or Twitter account or anything. It's just, you know, watching on. We spoke to John, do you recall? He was homeless in Inishowen. He'd been in receipt of homeless vouchers. He was told that the vouchers were no longer going to be issued to him. And I believe from the conversation he was offered sort of sheltered accommodation in Bundoran, and he said his roots were in Inishowen now. His counselling was in Inishowen now, and it was not a good fit for him. The council have responded and they say, following a number of recent inquiries, Donegal County Council would like to confirm its continued commitment to supporting individuals and families experiencing homelessness across the county. Recent enhancements to the emergency accommodation service model are part of a broader effort to improve the quality, oversight and effectiveness of homeless supports in line with the Homeless Action Plan for the North West region. So I think that is effectively saying, and I shouldn't presume that it's seen as to long-term homelessness, especially if people need other supports, that there are sort of units of accommodation for them, but they're not going to be in every location. Okay, back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Floor at Letterkenny has to offer? Floor have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Floor today on 087 161 7008.
Home Store and More? Get your garden ready for summer galore with solar lights, trellis and garden decor. Find furniture and barbecues and so much more. A welcoming smile as you walk through our door. More choice and more savings we're famous for. So come and discover your favorite things.
Home Store and More. A happy home.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Transform your home with top quality appliances from Callahan's Electrical. Newly renovated extended Burt showroom features a huge variety of Neff, Bosch and Miele appliances, known for their durability, style and performance. Whether you're upgrading or starting fresh, we've the perfect home appliances to suit you. Callahan's Electrical, Letterkenny and Burt, where the best keeps on getting better.
Irish Pressings, based in Gidor, are celebrating 20 years of engineering excellence as a global leader in component design, manufacturing, machining and prototyping to globally recognised brands across the automotive, marine, electrical and many other industries. Irish Pressings' impact reaches far beyond Ireland's shores. To celebrate, the 9 till noon show will be live from Irish Pressings this Friday morning. So tune in to find out what makes Irish Pressings a powerhouse on the global stage.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Cava at the news desk. The father of 4 girls who were severely impacted in the Creasle explosion says his family has been left high and dry in the aftermath of the tragedy. Paddy's 4 daughters were in the shop at the time. 3 of them were trapped in the rubble for a period, but all 3 were rescued. Yesterday, at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Thomas Sean Devine urged officials to meet with the bereaved families as the appeal period against planning permission for the redevelopment of the site draws to a close. Well, on today's 9 till noon show, Paddy told Greg Hughes no one is liaising with his family and many others like them.
We had 4 daughters involved in the Creasle explosion. 3 of them was actually trapped in the shop and on the forecourt. Another girl then, she witnessed her sister's been buried in the explosion. It's just that we have had no consultation with anybody. We had heard nothing about any inquiry. We all found out through social media of everything that's going on. Like, we have nobody to liaison with us. We've just been left high and dry. Good luck to you now, just at this stage. Like.
€35 million of investment has been announced for County Donegal under the HSE's capital plan for 2025. It forms part of a national allocation of €1.33 billion. The funding for Donegal includes provision for a new aseptic compounding unit at Letterkenny University Hospital, as well as the replacement and extension of the community nursing unit in Letterkenny. A cancer survivor and campaigner has organised a third protest outside Letterkenny University Hospital to advocate for improved patient care facilities. Rosina Doherty has announced that the next demonstration will take place on Saturday, April 26th. The initial protest was prompted by findings indicating that individuals diagnosed with cancer in Donegal face a higher likelihood of commencing their treatment at a later stage. Ms Doherty made the following appeal on her social media.
I need everyone out there, right? I really would like double the number that was here last week. because it's like, if you haven't been a cancer patient, or if you haven't lost someone to cancer, or you don't know how harrowing it is, how scary, how absolutely brutal, and you don't know or realise how bad the services are in Letterkenny.
The finance minister says the EU wants to engage in trade negotiations with the US as Donald Trump's tariffs come into effect. Europe is now facing a 20% levy on goods exported to the US, while the US president has also confirmed he's preparing to unveil major new taxes on the pharma sector. The Taoiseach is in Washington for a series of meetings, including one with the US Commerce Secretary. Pascal Donoghue hopes this is just the beginning of more in-depth consultations.
When Simon Harris meets Howard Lutnick later on today, we're not looking to engage in just a conversation. We're looking to open up what I hope will lead to a discussion between the European Union and America on a trade negotiation. And we here in Europe have to engage in the substance of these issues and not get distracted by the language.
125 drivers have been caught speeding so far on this National Slowdown Day. The 24-hour initiative by Gardaí and the Road Safety Authority began at midnight and continues until midnight tonight. Among the vehicles detected at above the speed limit this morning were one doing 144 kilometres an hour in a 100 zone at Newcastle in County Wicklow. And the ongoing spell of favourable weather is exacerbating existing water supply problems in West Donegal. Councillor Michael McClafferty has highlighted the increasing pressure on farmers to provide water for their livestock and is advocating for the immediate deployment of water tankers to the affected areas. He noted several communities are currently experiencing disruptions to their water supplies. Councillor McClafferty expressed doubt that the issue will be resolved by the weekend, citing a lack of communication from Uisce Éireann. Councillor McClafferty detailed the current situation.
The pumping house station itself that pumps out the water down in Marie is giving problems. That's been giving problems all the time, but Irish Water Management refuse to acknowledge that. Secondly then, due to the dry weather, water levels are getting low. That's not helping matters either. And thirdly then, and got a Hartsel Carry area as well, there are bus pipes as we speak at the minute that they know from yesterday. They have to be fixed as well. In the next 24, 48 hours, hoping, praying that the pump holds out and it gets going. Once that starts pumping the water around and the air is again and pressure on it, Marie, that's going to start busting pipes again like a pincushion.
Weather forecast dry and sunny once again today with any mist clearing early on. Highest temperatures on Wednesday of 15 to 19 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. You can check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. We're back with headlines again at 11. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, April 9th. The death has occurred of Bernard Kennedy, Carrigat Leave, Ardra, reposing in McCabe's funeral home Ardra today from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock and in his daughter Evelyn's home tomorrow from 12 noon until 9 p.m. Removal to the Church of the Holy Family Ardra on Friday for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery, house private on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund, Kellybegs Community Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Kathleen Stevenson, née McMonigal, Rosemount, Letterkenny. Kathleen's remains will be reposing at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny today from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock, with removal to her late residence at 3 p.m. Family home strictly private at the request of the deceased pleased. Funeral tomorrow at 11 a.m. in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in Newlack Cemetery. The death has taken place of Sally Sharkey, née Doherty Ollie, Gortney, Quigley's Point. Sally's remains are reposing at the home of her son Edward Martin, Traumatic Quigley's Point. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock funeral mass in St Columba's Church Drung, followed by burial in Drung Cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed on stcolumbusdrung.net. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, funeral director. The death has occurred of Kathleen Coughlin Erskine, née O'Donnell, Gilbertstown, Bruckles, reposing at the home of her daughter Karina and son-in-law Eamon, Conlon Road, Kellybegs, house strictly private please. Private removal today from her residence at Gilbertstown, Bruckles to the Church of St Joseph and St Connell, Bruckles, for funeral mass at 12 noon, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Donegal Community Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Anne Stewart, née McGlade, Belfast Antrim, and formerly of Marble Hill, Donegal. No wake, the house is strictly private. Funeral Mass will be held at Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy, today at 12 noon. Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Large Belfast, care of O'Kane's Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Every year, about 2,500 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. If you're aged 59 to 70, register for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample. If you need follow-up tests, we'll let you know. Register today at bowelscreen.ie or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSE.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Welcome back to the midweek episode of the 9 till noon show. It is a glorious Wednesday across the northwest and indeed across the entire country. I hope it's pleasant wherever you are, if you aren't close to us here. A caller says Creasla and Oma are two completely different circumstances. The act in Oma was deliberate. The families in Creasla are in a different boat. It is horrific to compare them. Nobody knows how the Creasla families feel, of course. But it's also important we discuss that, because no one's views are changed or influenced, or no middle ground is reached unless we hear different people's points of view. And I hope we don't get to a situation, and we certainly won't get to it on this show, whereby we're afraid to say anything. You know, I think we have to have the slightly tougher conversations too. A caller says it currently costs 9.5 times the average wage to buy a house in Ireland. It should only be 3. So I welcome a recession. It's the only way to reset house prices. Well, I think that's what Donald Trump's trying to do, is reset the US economy. Don't we buy much more stuff from China than Disneyland? Send a trade mission and pass Master Burke to Beijing. We'll be fine. Right, okay. There are water outages all over Gorta Hawk, I'm told. My mum lives alone in Gorta Hawk. She's dosed with a cold and in her 80s. She only has a stove, so she has no heat. I'm very concerned about her. I have a house in Baltony and was going to take her there, but we've no shower either. No water either. They are saying that it definitely won't be back today and that it could be a few days. Irish Water can't tell us when the water will be back. This is not good enough. There are lots of elderly people in the area. We'll try and find out more information in relation to that. But that's an ongoing situation in Gorta Hawk. And whilst I talked of the weather just in advance of that text, it's freezing at night. A lot of grass frost about. Fair play to Trump, says a listener. Throw as many tariffs as possible at the Irish cartel that we call a government. Slap the brakes on. We will soon come off the gravy train now. Maybe if we hit a recession, some of our own people, especially young families, might actually afford a home again. Many and their cronies be sweating now. The big bonuses from the pharma companies will be coming to an end. Great to see. I mean, I think you really need to dig into the situation a little bit more as to what a recession and the impact it might have on this country. In terms of building of new homes. For instance, we're at full capacity effectively in terms of homes at the moment. People's ability to play. I'll put it to you like this, and even if we don't go into a recession, the cost of living in the United States has gone through the roof. That's going to have an impact in terms of the amount of Americans that come here on holidays. That's going to have an impact on the amount of tea times that are booked at our golf courses, or meals that are ordered in our restaurants, or attendance at sessions in pubs. You know, that's a lot of people, just regular people listening to this show, who might be out of work as a result of that. So recession doesn't all of a sudden equal a better country and cheaper houses. And they're driving down the interest rates in Ireland, in Europe as well. So I don't think that the two of you in that regard, I'd love to have an economist on to explain it more detail, or better than I, but I don't think it's going to be the great to see scenario that maybe you believe, but I respect your opinion and you may well be right. Let's all blame Trump, because all of the other greedy world leaders haven't caused any mess. We're all in. They're all about money and power. They don't care about the people. The one thing about this situation that is different, and every country has its own issues with corruption and what have you, and there's an index of that. And I'm not saying what's happening from Donald Trump is corruption as such, but there has never been a situation in history, and probably never will be again, when one individual had an ocean that has completely disrupted the world markets, that is going to affect every single person. Some it'll benefit, others not so. But I don't think, or I can't think of any other scenario when the acts of one individual have had this sort of an impact. A caller says there was a crash on the Ron Road yesterday. Thank God there was no other car in the road, as there could have been a serious collision. It's a miracle that no one was killed. The speed needs to be reduced on that section, says a listener. I was one of the first people on the scene yesterday at a collision in Letterkenny. I really hope the person will be okay. The wait for the ambulance was completely unacceptable. The response time to the scene yesterday was beyond ridiculous. We are 5 minutes from Letterkenny, yet it took about 55 minutes to get an ambulance to get there. I ended up ringing Letterkenny medics. I needed community first responders. I didn't know how to get them. I thought help was available in times like this. I ended up stopping traffic, asking, are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? I had to get a towel of another car. When Gardaí arrived, I had to get them to radio for an ambulance, and it did arrive after they radioed. This is not the first instance of delayed attendance of an ambulance in a serious incident that I've heard over the last couple of days. The model that we employ, as far as I'm aware, doesn't necessarily mean that ambulances are deployed from Letterkenny. They could have been deployed from a different area. I don't know. We'll have to inquire. I'm not sure if any ambulances were tied up at the ED. We know how busy the hospital has been. But a very serious road traffic collision, and I understand the person's injuries are serious. A 55-minute response time, 5 minutes outside Letterkenny. I think someone who has responsibility for this type of stuff needs to have a look at that and perhaps give us some answers. We'll make our own inquiries too. We have that capacity. Are we any closer to finding out what actually caused the Creeslough explosion? I know it's a sensitive question, but maybe there is a lesson to be learned here. We're all awaiting to find out what the story is, to be honest with you. No people more so, and more importantly, that those that are bereaved or directly affected by it. And also an independent inquiry is being sought as well. Right, let's take a break. I know some of you are waiting, many of you are waiting to see if today you're going to win a few £100. Here's the bingo numbers.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Introducing PD Bathrooms and Tiles Lock It Down Price Guarantee. Pay just a 20% deposit and we lock in your quoted price for a full year, no matter what happens with inflation. Plan your dream bathroom with confidence, choosing from a huge range of quality suites, tiles and accessories from top brands. Visit our showroom at Lisfannon Industrial Estate, Buncrana, or call 074 9395 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles. Prices locked, worries gone. Some terms apply.
At Bluebird Care, every day is an opportunity to make a real difference. Where you change lives, where you're supported, where you belong. We're recruiting care assistants and nurses across Donegal for roles that offer flexibility, competitive pay and a supportive team that's always by your side. Whether you're seeking full-time, part-time or flexible shifts, Bluebird Care is where you can change lives every day. Are you ready to join a team that cares as much as you do? Apply today at bluebirdcarecareers.ie. Bluebird Care, where you belong.
Stop everything! iMotors is bringing you the biggest used car event of the year. From Thursday, April 10th to Saturday, April 12th. We've got over 250 quality used cars. Every brand, every engine type, and a deal with your name on it. Buy any car and spin the wheel. You're guaranteed to win €500 or €1,000 off. Plus, every car comes with up to 12 months warranty. 3 days only. Get down to iMotors and drive away happy.
iMotors, fearless generation. I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Hi folks, Nathan Carter here. Why not join myself and the band plus special guest Lisa McHugh for one night only at the Millennium Forum, Derry, Londonderry on Friday the 2nd of May. Tickets available from Box Office and from nathancartermusic.com.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 9th of April. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €1,000. The reference number is S13. It's game number 15. The numbers are 14, 20, 25, 29, 83, 21, 37, 40, 73, and finally 86. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Jenny loves spring. Sun on her face and a crisp cold specially selected kombucha from Aldi in her hand. It's picnic time. Uh-oh, wasps. Usually she'd freak out, but all the specially selected olives, relish and Gortnamona Irish goat's cheese have her feeling so at one with nature. She's thinking maybe wasps are just misunderstood. Now nothing can stop her enjoying picnic season. Not even that. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Shop Homeland's April mega deals at your local Homeland or online at homeland.ie. There's the EFCO 18-inch drive lawnmower now only $449. Save €100. Dulux Weather Shield paint 10 litre buy 2 for €140. And save 10% off the selected Dunlop Wellies range. Offers end April 21st. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're joined on the programme now by Dr. Dennis McCauley, GP and President of the IMO. Good morning to you, Dennis. Thanks so much for your time, as always.
Thank you, Greg.
Your tenure as President of the IMO coming to an end shortly, isn't it?
Released.
Yeah,
no, it's coming just after Easter. I'll be stepping down as President, so that would be maybe 3 or 4 years of being very active, so hopefully I can be a backseat driver after that, Greg.
All right, very good. We invited you on to talk about news that patients could have to wait longer for diagnostic scans in the community this year on foot of a so-called rebalancing by the HSC of the scheme, which is operated by GPs. So I suppose, in real terms, what does this mean to the public?
It's a really retrograde step. Rebalancing means a cut. Up until before COVID, we would have had great difficulty getting scans such as ultrasounds and MRIs particularly. We would have had to refer patients to the clinic to get access to that. So during the COVID emergency, we negotiated with the government access to these scans as outpatients so that people wouldn't have to go into clinics during the time of COVID, but also it proved to be a great success. It was empowering for GPs to be able to investigate and reassure patients without the need of sending them to the hospital particularly. Also, we would investigate and find out other issues that needed treatment within the primary healthcare services. So now what this will involve is the doctor having to refer to another doctor to refer a scan. And guess what happens when we do that? They ultimately agree and then order that scan. So it's going to be another 2 steps before the patient can have access to this, which will only delay diagnosis, cause stress, and ultimately affect outcomes also.
What's the logic of this extra layer? I know that's an argument for the HSE to make, but I suppose they've made that argument to the IMO.
I think it's the short-sighted, blunt thinking. They want to save money, so they're saying, right, that's a budget that we've brought in, let's just cut it, unknowing that what will happen is that for any particular condition, there will now be, rather than 1 consultation and 1 test, there will now be probably 3 consultations and 1 test. So the money, if you look at the actual budget, it's probably going to actually cost an exponential amount of money. We have proven that we can test appropriately. We have proven that we can treat in the primary care setting. Now everything's going to be transferred into the hospital, and it isn't that as if there's lots of capacity in the hospital. So if you have a sore back, if you have injured your knee, what will happen is that possibly they're hoping that everybody will just go privately now and save the HSE money. But those people that can't do that, it will just discommode them, and it will cost the state more to get that treatment. So I think it's a bit like the pay and numbers strategy at the present minute. There still is an embargo on people getting on expanding the health services. They call it one thing, but in actual fact, it is what it is. It's just a budget cut, which is short-sighted and will
but the
cost
HSE seem to be suggesting the HSE seem to be suggesting that you've given the examples of where it's incredibly effective and useful, but they seem to be suggesting that it's being overused, that maybe diagnostic scans are being ordered when they aren't required. Do you accept that, or maybe, do you accept that possibly is the case?
Oh, it possibly is the case. I have no problems with when I do something well. I like to be complimented. When I do something wrong, I'm quite open to be as it were, to get feedback so that I will change my practices. There's been no attempt at that. There's been no attempt if they think that this was an inappropriate scan, just let us know and teach us, and we will change that. But don't, for 1 or 2 inappropriate scans, stop the system of so many very positive appropriate scans. No, I think that is just an excuse to make a cut, and I'm quite comfortable saying, listen, if 10% of our scans are not appropriate, let us know and we will change that. But don't cut off the 90%, which is causing so much benefit.
Yet the statistics the HSE are issuing seems to suggest there'll be more tests and more images processed.
I don't believe that. Actually, what's happening now in the hospital, if you're talking about the hospital system, can take the slack. What's happening actually is that hospital consultants are asking patients to go back to the GP to order the test because they can't do it. That at the present minute, an MRI scan in the hospital system is probably taking a year. So the consultants are asking us to do the scans for them in the actual community. So any such talk is patently nonsense.
And I'm always very interested, especially from someone like yourself, to try and ascertain what the real world impact on people of this might be. So, given the extra layer of scrutiny, what is the day-to-day impact this is going to have on the population and the work GPs do?
It's going to delay diagnoses. It's going to cause extra personnel to be involved in a patient's care when that isn't necessary. And it's going to cost more money and have worse outcomes.
All right, okay, that's really quite simple. Right, okay, we'll make our own inquiries in relation to this. For now, Dr. Dennis McCauley, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Cheers.
Okay, thank you. That's Dr. Dennis McCauley, as I just mentioned. He's a GP and outgoing president of the IMO. Right, now, I've been asked to mention that An Garda Síochána will conduct a 24-hour speed enforcement operation nationwide from midnight tonight. It's in partnership with the Road Safety Authority. This will be the second National Slowdown Day of the year, and An Garda Síochána is asking the public to please support the initiative by slowing down. As spring arrives in Ireland and there is a longer period of daylight, we can expect an increase in vulnerable road users, pedestrians and cyclists, with more people out and about. While Gardaí, they say, work tirelessly 365 days of the year to help people safe, to keep people safe in Ireland's roads network. They alone cannot prevent all fatal road traffic collisions. On Garda Síochána needs everyone's help and support. So they're asking people to have the conversation around the kitchen table or wherever you tend to seat about speeding and dangerous driving and the consequences of a collision, be it a fatal collision or one where serious injury is incurred. And we don't hear about the serious injuries, the life-altering injuries, and so on and so forth. We were asked this question: do you know what's happening the post box? Remember this from last week. Do you know what's happening in the post box at Ballyrain, Letterkenny? The caller said, I live out on the Thorn Road and walked up to post a letter. After recovering from the shock of paying $1.65 for a stamp, I continued up the road to the post box across from Ballyrain School. It's crudely covered with a piece of wood and no instruction as to alternative post boxes. I ended up walking home and having to drive into the town to post the letter. Are there no post boxes anymore? There was nothing online to show me locations of alternative post boxes. So we got on to On Post, and they say, and this maybe is a reality of how often we post letters now. The post box has been closed for some time as we attempted to source replacement parts, often a problem with old post boxes. We're awaiting the contractor who will return and remove the old box and rebuild the pillar it is set into. We've installed a new box directly across the road as we deemed the positioning of the new box safer from a collection and usage point of view, parking availability and the flow of the collection route, etc. So that came in from the Public Affairs Manager on Post. So your post box is gone. You obviously haven't used it for ages because it's not been working for some time. And there's a new post box directly across the road. So it's just right across the road. But it would be interesting to get some sort of an index, I suppose, of where post boxes are. Or would it? I don't know. I'm finding it hard to engage myself in that because I just can't remember the last time I posted a letter. In fact, I can. And it's a very, very long time ago.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Mabel Stores have you covered across Donegal. From apples to AdBlue, we have everything you need whenever you need it. All our Mabel Stores are now selling delicious real dairy whipped ice cream. Don't forget to check out our Easter egg selection too. Follow your local Mabel Store on Facebook for weekly offers. And remember, we also sell fuel too. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
If you have PRSI, you can get free hearing devices at Specsavers. Now, we know what you're thinking. Oh, if they're free, they're bound to be those big old-fashioned ones that do this kind of thing, as well as this kind of thing. But actually, they just do this kind of thing. Amazing sound from a rechargeable piece of tech so small you can barely see it. All completely free. So book a free hearing check at Specsavers now, because OK Hearing is not OK. On hearing devices up to €1,000, terms and conditions apply. See our website for details.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, dry and sunny, highest temperatures 15 to 19 degrees. We have Master Thatcher, Brian Lafferty in studio with us. Brian, how are you getting on?
Good, Craig. Thanks.
It's great to have you in. Thank you so much for calling up to us. And we'll also be talking to Fidelma Toland, who's a novice thatcher. Thanks very much, Fidelma, for calling up. And you're very busy. You're being in high demand. The TV cameras are calling you next. Is that right? Or is it radio?
That's it indeed.
Okay, so you're going to have to get a bit of makeup on, Brian.
Thanks.
Just a little bit of foundation, nothing major. Brian, when did you start thatching?
I've always been around thatch because I was born in a thatch cottage, and my father would have always kept the cottage up at home. So you'd always been at the bottom of the ladder to keep the ladder.
And you can't help getting involved then, can you?
From slipping, so you were always there. Maybe a lot of times not by choice, but you had to be there in a way.
And was there a bit of pressure on you to keep the tradition going at all, or was it just something that you found yourself drawn into?
Not really, but there came a stage in my life where there became a great hunger for me to learn to thatch, and that stayed with me.
Were you able to sort of get the skills to thatch, and it is highly skilled, from your father or those around you, or did you have to go and study it, or what way does that work, or did it work?
No, I did get it from my father at home. But I also, sometimes in purchasing flax, people who did thatch would have sold a bit of flax as well. And you always got advice from a lot of people. But no matter how much advice you get, you will have to get on the roof.
Yeah.
And do it yourself.
And I suppose it's like everything, any trade, any skill, every day's a learning day, isn't it?
That's
There's always something else to learn.
Yeah.
So when did you go out on your own thatching, and at what age was that, Brian? Or were you part of a team, or how did it work?
I did go out on my own thatching about 30 years ago, but I've been doing our own house at home before that, and it was just by word of mouth. People say who maybe asked my mother who thatched the cottage, and she would say it was me, and then the other people would ask you, but I never really advertised. You
never had to.
No, you don't.
But you were thatching all the time, all year round, weather permitting, I presume.
Well,
or whenever the season for thatching is.
You try to be out as much as you can, but people don't realise that there's more work preparing materials than there is thatching. Thatching would probably be the easiest part.
And talk to me about preparing those materials. So you get the raw material, I presume, do you?
Yeah.
So what is that, and how does it come to you?
Sometimes it would come to you with the seed on it, and you have to remove the seed. And also it can sometimes be a bit untidy, so you have to maybe open every single bundle and tidy it up, trim it up, and take a seed off it and leave it ready for the roof. Because on a stormy day or a cold day, the roof's not the place to be preparing your material.
Oh, yes.
You need to have it prepared before you get there.
And in terms of, is it dry when it comes to you? Is it ready to go when it comes to you, other than the bit of prep that you have to do?
No, it has to be dry. It has to be dry.
And are there prescribed lengths? So are there specific lengths, or is it different lengths for different?
Well, you don't want the material too long, because it can be a sign that maybe it has been blown up a bit with fertilizer, and you don't need, especially nitrogen, you don't need that near materials, because when water meets nitrogen, that causes microbiological activity to take place. So you don't want that near material, because your material could break down very quickly. So it's probably, if it's a bit short, it looks like that it hasn't been blown up with fertilizer. But you like to get a medium length, maybe 3 foot.
But over the years, you can pick it up and you get a sense of it.
Yeah, because the fibre has to be in it.
Yeah.
If somebody presents you with flax and you move it over and back with your fingers, if it breaks, it's not good material.
Did you send much back?
Not really, but you'll always find even materials not as good as sometimes what you would like. You'd always maybe find it okay for an undercoat, because the water wouldn't be in there. So you can use it for different.
Yeah, you wouldn't waste it,
but not for a final coat.
How many? So you're in it 30 years, which is pretty sort of towards the end of, I suppose, of what we're talking about here. Not the end, but the decline. How many master thatchers would have been operational 30 years ago? Because it's always going to be a small community, I presume.
Probably in Donegal, as regards the master thatcher, probably there might have only been one.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would have attempted to thatch their own house, and that's what kept a lot of the houses up. That seems to be disappeared now. Everybody's working, and nobody wants to get involved in a job that they're not used at.
Yeah.
You know.
Fidelma, where does your interest in thatching come from?
Well, it's my mum's home place. We have a wee thatch cottage just below the road. And my mum, my 2 uncles, and my grandfather, the gut's 300 years old, the thatch cottage. And just, as a very small child, I've seen my two uncles and my grandfather up on the roof thatching, just keeping it maintained and looking after it. And sadly, none of those are with us now. They've all passed away. And I just thought I would like to keep it maintained. And we just recently got it thatched there last year. And I was watching Hugh Goller, the local thatcher, thatching it. And I just thought I would really love to learn that and just keep the tradition going. And
so it's a bit of 2 things going on here, isn't it? It's your desire to sort of maybe want to do it practically, but also a responsibility to keep a tradition going as well.
Exactly, yeah.
How long have you been studying thatching? Is that how?
I've only done
phraseology?
one. I've only done one course now along with Brian, and we have another course now coming up this weekend.
And how are you finding it? Because you never know until you're sort of in the.
I like it. I'm really enjoying it. He's a good teacher. We get on good, thank God. Yeah, we had it off.
What's your feeling about women coming into thatching? Huh?
Well,
I'm only joking, you know.
No.
I'm only joking, Brad.
It's nice to see females coming in, and it encourages maybe other females to come in.
But back to you, Fidelma. Sorry, it's been a bit facetious there. I'd love to see it. Whatever it takes to get as many people involved and keep it going, the better. But Fidelma, like, do you envisage a situation whereby your training could get to the point where you could thatch a house? Is that the end game here? Or is it about maybe maintaining the thatch that's there, or
that's to really maintain my mum's home place, and hopefully to go out in the future to help others learn the trade and teach it and maybe go around. I would love to do that myself, definitely, yeah.
There's a few things going on, Brian, in terms of why, thatched cottages, we're seeing less of them. I think an awful lot of it's down to insurance and cost. I think insurance is a big one because, people go to... we all want to maintain tradition, right? But when it starts hitting you in the pocket and you're wondering where can I find the money to maintain this roof or to indeed insure the property, I think that's driven a lot of this. Has it, or is it less skilled workers like yourselves? Or
well, probably less skilled workers would be one of the reasons. One of the other reasons I think is people have got more money now. I mean, if you take in the past, they didn't have the option of taking off the thatch and putting on slates. They didn't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
So they had to maintain what they had got. But now financially people are better off. So say, right, we'll take off the, especially if you don't have a love of thatch, you need to have a love of thatch. They'll say, we'll take off the thatch, we'll do the slates, and we'll have no more bother with it. And you can see where people are coming from when they do that. But if you have a deep love of thatch, you won't do that.
Is thatching culturally preserved, I wonder, Fidelma or Brian? In that when you talk about what it is to be Irish in our culture, thatched cottages are part of that, if you know what I mean. I wonder, are they protected? And I don't mean there's a nice house, let's make sure no one can put a slate roof on that. But I mean, should we not be doing more, Fidelma, to encourage the retention or use of thatching? Considering is, you look at any picture of old Ireland and it's ever present. Do we want to lose that?
No, we can't lose it. No, it's our history. We have to keep it going, keep it alive.
And here in the Republic, they're called protected structures. And I think that there should be more houses protected. I mean, you can go around, let's see Annishone. You can go around Annishone tonight and demolish every single thatched cottage by law.
Yeah.
There might be one or two protected, but there'll be very, very few.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we need, you've talked of the reason why people might move to slates or tiles. Like, this is our culture, this is our heritage. And if that means supporting people financially to retain the thatch, I think we should be doing that.
Well, there is grants available now, and they are a good help. And I have to say that there's conservation officers at Donegal County Council are doing so much to keep the tradition alive.
Are we doing it across the country though? Because I've seen some estimates that there's 300 or 400 cottages around the country that are in need of maintenance work. You know what I mean? They need the roofs either repaired or rethatched. I wonder, is there a united attitude around the country that we need to preserve these buildings as best as possible?
A lot of these houses sometimes are left because of charges that came in down the years. I mean, you had the household charge. People were afraid of it. It was known for people to knock chimneys off these houses so that they could prove that nobody lived in them. You know, and then there was the septic tank charge. So there was these charges all coming on, so people thought, well, just leave it derelict and not have to pay these charges.
Because of
and
course,
I think they should have maybe been exempt from a lot of these charges.
Yeah, because of course, Fidelma, it's great that someone like yourself is coming in to the scene, but we need an awful lot more people, don't we? Because again, more statistics here. In the last 10 years, a 30% decline from a small base, really, in thatched homes in Donegal, which is concerning. But also the amount of people, it's less than a dozen, the estimate of master thatchers, Fidelma, left across the entire country, which is
That's
remarkable.
true,
So they're certainly not going to be able to, if all 300 or 400 houses were to be fixed up, they can't do it.
No.
And also there's reports that thatchers from other countries are coming in to do this work.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since this all started, we've had great publicity. You know, since the weekend, the RT we made the RT News. My supervisor in the Dolman Centre, Bernadine, she says there's nothing, only emails coming in, people wanting to join the courses and learn the thatching. And now, just when we're finished here, now we have to go back to the Dolman Centre ourselves, and Conal Shovlin over the head of all this. He's behind all this, and Norman Doherty. They were on to me just coming down the road. I got a phone call and asking us if we could go back to the Dolman Centre today, that BBC Northern Ireland are looking to do a piece on us. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus, one thing at a time. I'm nervous enough as it is.
I know, but look, at the thing is though, we don't want this to be a short, sharp shock where it's a story for a week and then, you know, it pitters out again and we're back to square one. It would be great if this momentum led to something, or even, you know, sparked the conversation on a national level.
Well, through Conal Shovlin and Norman Doherty up there and others, there's a great centre up there at Portnew. There's a great big shed, and there's 3 different roofs. One roof we do flax on. There's going to be reed done on others. It has started already.
Yeah.
I think John Masters and
That's
I think
right.
Ivor Kilpatrick has been involved up there as well. And there's the straw. So there's 3 amazing roofs in there. And the facilities are there now, which wasn't there before, but I think there's been a lot of hard work to get that there.
No, it's fantastic, but my concern is in this country, we just don't do enough to preserve our culture and heritage. Like, you will see thatched houses quite regularly in other countries. So whatever's happening in other countries as well, they're preserving this part of their cultural fabric. You know, I'm thinking too, could we do a feature next week on stonemasonry? You know what I mean? People that can build brick walls or face walls or what have you. You know what I mean? Though those people also are few and far between. You know, are those trades people going to be there into the future? Fidelma, what's your advice to anyone then that's listening to this and thinks, you know what, this is something I might be interested, or even I would like to be a part of, sort of, you know, the future of this of this industry?
Go for it.
Or is industry, I presume?
Yeah, just go for it. I just plucked up the courage to go and do this. I had a great interest in it at the start. I was working in the Dolman Centre, and I was it was just going around the word that they were going to build a thatching school. I thought, Jesus, that would be lovely. I'd love to get into that. And I says, you know what, throw down my name. I'll go for that because there's no written examination for it. I'll do it. Go on. And then it came up and I got on it and I was delighted.
Oh.
So yeah, definitely and thanks to all the staff at the Dolman Centre that behind me and encouraged me, and my mum and my 2 girls and my family, and thank yous all for encouraging me to do this.
Yeah, because there could be naysayers too, couldn't there?
Norman Doherty is there at first thing in the morning, opens up, and he organises the soup and sandwiches, and the ladies are
That's
great
right.
over at the Dolman Centre, and he makes everything so easy and gets involved himself.
Exactly,
and it's
yeah.
all on a voluntary level as well.
That's true.
And you know, we're kind of talking about some of it's the emotional side to this, but I mean, there is opportunity here, I would imagine, for someone to make a living out of this. You know, because if there is a national interest in retaining this, that means there's a lot of work out there potentially. You know, so this is not just necessarily an art house sort of flight of fancy thing. There's potentially a career in here for a tradesperson, isn't there?
Oh, there definitely is. There definitely is.
Okay.
Anyway.
Brilliant stuff. Brian, thank you so very
Not
much
at all,
indeed. I
pleasure.
won't delay you from the BBC any longer. Is there anything you want to mention before we go?
There will be in the Green in Maville on the 5th of May, between 2 and 4, that's Bank Holiday Monday. There will be a flax to linen to thatch, and it'll be Kathleen O'Hara Farron.
Mhm.
She's the facilitator, and she's involved in the arts. So you can bring a picnic. There will be some sandwiches there. There will be music, and we'll be taking the linen from the flax, but maybe putting a bit of flax on a roof. So we're expecting a lovely afternoon, and
Brilliant.
it'll be
So where is that and when? It's May?
It'll be on Maville Green.
Maville Green on what date?
The 5th of May.
Brilliant, okay.
Between
Lovely.
2 and 4.
Sounds lovely.
Aye. So everybody's welcome
Is
to
that
come
Saturday?
along.
Or
It's a Monday, as far as I'm aware. It's a
Okay.
Monday.
Sorry about that.
I
Don't
know
want to
what
confuse.
it's
All right,
on.
we'll put that information out a little bit closer to the time as well.
No,
Fidama, anything you want to add?
No, just we have a busy time of it ahead of us now. I'm just actually back from Birmingham myself at the weekend. There I was away doing a self-defence instructor course, and I couldn't believe it when I got this news here that I had to come back and do all the thatching stuff.
Did you feel you needed that working with us?
Not at all, not at all.
Is this a common thing with Thatchers also, self-defence?
I got the shock of my life when I was over there that all this news was coming up on the phone. I was like, oh my God. But,
But what an interesting life you lead, that you found all this out whilst doing this a self-defence. Why are you getting into that?
Just for my own safety of all the things that have been happening around lately.
Is that what's driven it for you? Do you feel less safe?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely do.
Where do you live?
I live in Ardra.
Yeah.
But neighbouring towns. And
Yeah, I know what you mean,
There's
that
things
about
going
and what have
on.
you.
There's people being approached.
There's a lot going on that's not being reported.
Yes, exactly.
That is one thing I am aware of. There was a gentleman that was, quite seriously assaulted on a bus recently. There was other instances on buses. And I don't know what the reason is, but it's hard to get information and it's hard to report on it or talk about it. Yeah. I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe, I don't know. I genuinely haven't a clue. But there's an awful lot going on that is not being talked about, yet the public are aware and feel like they're being gaslit by people telling them that everything's fine. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But it's difficult for me because I can't bring forward information until I can get it clarified. But these things apparently never happened.
Yeah.
But I know that they happened. Yeah. But anyway, and you then wish to, I presume the idea then is to teach others. Is that
definitely? Yeah, I'm an instructor now, a qualified instructor.
All right,
and
okay, well done.
Teach women and other young girls to protect themselves.
Yeah, interesting that it's specifically women and girls that you're talking of.
Yeah, it's for women, run by women.
Yeah,
it's Strike Back. We learnt it over in Birmingham, taught by Gul Chabano, and it's been an amazing weekend. It was a tough weekend, but well worth it.
All right, okay. Yeah. Well, listen, you're off to the telly now, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we're aware, it's BBC, but we're not sure if radio or television. But
they better have a camera with you.
We'll see when we get.
You can do the telly or the radio, get away with it, no problem.
Will that make up the Jupitons? Do me still?
I was just thinking, is there anything thatching you could do up here on the top of my head, Brian? I think you're a master thatcher, but you're not a miracle worker. Is that it? Fidelma, we might not touch base about those classes down the line a little bit. Obviously, we're talking about thatching, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Brian here, but I think it's I want us to reflect the reality on this program as well, even if it's hard to sort of get information in certain spaces. Okay, thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
It's actually been lovely to meet you. Would today be a good day for thatching? Calm and bright?
Brilliant.
It would be perfect for it, would it? Okay.
Brilliant.
All right.
Yeah.
Fidelma, best of luck with everything
Thank
that
you.
you're doing, including your continued thatching journey. Okay,
Thanks so
back
much.
with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Put a spring in your step this April with the Civic Dollars project, which promotes healthy communities through increased time spent in our outdoor local recreation spaces across Donegal. Download the Civic Dollars app. Locate your nearest earn zone on the map and hit go. After 30 minutes, you'll have earned a Civic Dollar. The app measures time spent in a designated earn zone and does not record steps or distance to ensure the project is inclusive of participants with mobility or health issues. For more information and to see a list of over 80 earn zone sites, see donegalcoco.ie/community/healthy Donegal. Donegal County Council, supporting healthy communities.
Tina Turner. That is mine.
Want to show someone that you think they are simply the best? Or do you have a proud Mary you want to spoil? West End mega hit Tina, the Tina Turner musical, is coming to Bordgash Energy Theatre, Dublin as part of its first ever Ireland tour. Join Highland Radio on Friday the 6th of June for an unforgettable trip. Set to a soundtrack of Tina's greatest hits, this inspirational and exhilarating story celebrates the life of the Queen of Rock and Roll. Trip includes luxury coach travel, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel on a bed and breakfast basis, and ticket to the show. Contact us today on 9125,000 or check out the outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
All right, some of your comments coming in on various issues. 55 minutes to wait for an ambulance for a serious incident, 5 minutes from a hospital. Why is this such a big issue when the electorate recently voted for the same old, same old? The Irish deserve all that they get. No sympathy there. Empathy, at least, for the person that had to endure this. We don't know which way they voted. And also, too, this presumption that everything would be fixed just because a government changed. I mean, that's not the way things work. A caller says the tourism sector will soon be glad to see the Irish instead of isolating us with their prices. Morning, Greg. Do all these clowns that think Trump is great really believe that a billionaire and his cronies actually give a damn about the common person who gets rich in a recession? The rich get richer. An awful lot of these far-right Egypts, if they're described, haven't a clue. Actually, first, think later. Naivety is rife. I wouldn't label people as you have. I do think there is, if you are, I think there can be blind faith in your Elon Musks and your Donald Trumps and your Tates and your others. I'm not saying every person of a certain political leaning is sympathetic to all of those people, but it astonishes me that people who don't have 2 shillings to rub together would follow the word of billionaire Elon Musk. I find that really quite remarkable, as if he is the best interest of the common person. He's only interested in anyone that can afford to buy a very expensive Tesla. He's not interested in the common people and making people's lives any better. But people blindly following him, some do, as if he is the saviour and speaks to them. He's a billionaire, and he could, without even knowing the money had gone out of his account, make someone's life better. Does he? No, unless it's to try and buy a judicial post or an election. A caller says, I'm on this planet for many years and mostly in Donegal. I cannot say that I've seen that many American tourists in this county, except for a few getting off a bus in Donegal town to use the toilets before they move off again. We'll manage okay. Well, the American tourism sector is huge in this county. And it's not necessarily the number, it's the amount of money they spend. And I think there's lots of people in the tourism industry would be able to contradict you on that. What Trump is doing is a game changer. It's an attack on globalist multimillionaires and billionaires who are created from price gouging, the rich robbing the poorest, to come to an end. Thank God for Trump. What Trump's doing benefits the rich more so. That is just an absolute fact. There's billionaires that made billions short in the stock market and will make billions again after the fact. billionaires get richer when there's a crisis. Millionaires get richer when there's a crisis. Whether it's COVID, whether it's a recession, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer because they look after each other and insulate themselves. And that's not controversial. That is a fact. A caller says the only way that we can get house prices down is if we have a recession. Look at the last recession where house prices are halved. Okay, that's if we have the housing stock. Really, you know, it's not like there's a load of vacant houses that their value goes down. What that means is if you own a house, it will dramatically fall in value. The price of concrete, steel, aluminium, everything is going through the roof. And there's about 4,000 houses available in this country. And all right, they might reduce in price, but the value of people's properties falls in price. And do you think that developers overseas or internal are going to start building houses in a recession? No, they wait till the house prices go up because they are multimillionaires and billionaires and they don't want to lose money either. The house construction will collapse in a recession here. Because there's no one will have the money to purchase these houses. I'm not an economist, but I would have thought that's relatively basic stuff. Greg, I know the report into the Springs being used by hospitals for children's operations is outrageous, but as a family in Donegal, our experience with Dr. Conor Green was nothing but positive. I did indicate that at the start of the programme, and it's interesting that you're referencing his name, and his name was out there, and I did also reference the fact that all of a sudden he's under a pseudonym. That is what I've heard, that and that he made this decision on these springs, and it's proved very controversial, but I've heard good things about him. Hi Highland, look up the sky, no trails, the full length of the sky from aeroplanes. Share with your listeners, you probably won't, and blame a climate warning. The same amount of planes are flying over us. It's to do with low and high pressure as to how visible their trails are. I'm not a meteorologist, but this stuff is basic science. It's out there. Are you telling me that someone somewhere has decided that we can have good weather? Is that what you're saying? Who did it? Please, I want to hear. I want to learn. Maybe my mind can be changed, but are you saying that someone has decided that we're having a sunny spell? If so, who? Please help me. I'd love to understand the thinking behind that thinking, please. For my own education, if nothing else. Let me see. We used the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital bus service yesterday to St. Luke's Hospital. I just want to compliment the team there. They picked us up and brought us to the hospital door, waited on everyone, no rush on the road. If anyone needed to stop for the toilet, it was no issue. When everyone was finished early, they asked, did people want to have lunch or head on back home? Martin, the driver, was a complete gentleman. I cannot praise this service enough from a very grateful passenger. And I believe that's the service my sister used. Rest in peace. And she was positive towards it as well. Right. I'm going to play this jingle and fingers crossed we'll have the news.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock on the button. Time for a news update. It's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The father of 4 girls who were severely impacted in the Creasla explosion says his family has been left high and dry in the aftermath of the tragedy. Paddy's 4 daughters were at the complex at the time. 3 of them were trapped in the rubble for a period. All 3 were rescued. Yesterday, at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Thomas Sean Devine encouraged council officials to meet with the bereaved families as the appeal period against planning permission for the redevelopment of the site draws to a close. Donegal County Council has issued a special statement this morning confirming its continued commitment to supporting individuals and families experiencing homelessness across the county. In the statement, the council says recent enhancements to the emergency accommodation service model are part of a broader effort to improve the quality, oversight and effectiveness of homeless supports. A number of members of council have expressed concern after officials confirmed they're moving away from the provision of B&B vouchers towards a hostel accommodation style setting. A number of providers are now providing emergency accommodation in Letterkenny and Bundoran. The fear is that people are going to be brought out of their own areas to be placed in that accommodation. The finance minister says the EU wants to engage in trade negotiations with the US as Donald Trump's tariffs come into effect. Europe is facing a 20% levy on goods exported to the US, while the US President Donald Trump also confirmed overnight he's preparing to unveil major new taxes on the pharma sector. The Taoiseach is in Washington for a series of meetings, including one with the US Commerce Secretary. The North's infrastructure minister has reaffirmed her commitment to the delivery of the A5 upgrade. Speaking after meeting with a number of public representatives in West Tyrone, Minister Liz Kimmins said the development of a modern fit-for-purpose dual carriageway will first and foremost save lives. She's also stressed it'll bring wider benefits by enhancing north-south connectivity and addressing regional imbalance. And it's been confirmed resurfacing works are to get underway on the Cockhill Road in Buncrana over the Easter period. The long-awaited news has been welcomed by councillors Fionn Bradley and Jack Murray. The works had to be delayed to allow newly done sewage upgrade works to settle. And there are the headlines. Back with news again at 12 noon.
Donald, thanks very much indeed.
VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance is your passport to peace of mind. Lost baggage in Beijing? Hotel cancellation in Cavan? Sprained ankle in Auckland? You're covered wherever you go. Buy VHI Multi-Trip online today. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collins and Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance.
You're very welcome back to the programme now. Our fantastic 20,000 plus cash giveaway and mixed with spending giveaway is ongoing. I'll break it down for you. We have €10,000 to spend at Foy's to reimagine your home. It's a massive amount of money and will make massive inroads to you listening out there, I'm sure. We also have €10,000 cash to give away. That is also for you to spend as you wish. You can continue to spend on your home or buy a car or go on holidays or write down some debt. It's completely up to you. That draw takes place on the 16th of April. But this week, as a thank you and also to reward you even greater for your spend, we have €1,000 to give away today on the Drive Time, tomorrow on Power Hour Plus with Ivan, and on Friday, Lee Gooch's Naughty Alarm Clock. The draw today takes place at 3 p.m. €1,000 will be given away. Lines close around about 2:30. So if you want to be in the draw for this afternoon, tomorrow, Friday, and the big one on April 16th, you can get your tickets right now. You can go onto our website, highlandradio.com, or indeed you can give us a call here on 074 91 25,000 and we'll make sure you are in all four draws. So that's €1,000 to be given away today on Jive Time. 1,000 tomorrow on Power Hour Plus with Ivan, and then 1,000 on the Naughty Alarm Clock, and then the big one, 20 grand, 10,000 to spend at Foy's and 10,000 cash, and that is available for you right now. Give us a call here if you want, 07491 25,000, or in fact, if you prefer, we can sort you out on the website highlandradio.com. Right, this morning's Wellness Wednesday, we're joined by Anna Marie Kelly, who's an Inclusion Disability Officer and mini coach with the Letterkenny Rugby Club. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for joining us. How are you keeping?
I'm good, yeah.
Very good indeed. To your left is Damien Mulcairns, a youth convener with the Letterkenny Rugby Club. How are you getting on, Damien?
Good, Greg.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you with us. Right, okay. We've talked about Ladies Rugby Club and Ladies Tag Rugby previously, Anne-Marie, and it's proved very, very popular. And I suppose this is a shout out to people that didn't get involved or haven't been involved heretofore.
Yeah, so last year we launched the Ladies Tag Rugby, and we're giving it another go this year. Starts on the 23rd of April. And it's just about, I suppose, breaking some stigma and stereotypes around the tag. You know, your fitness level doesn't even come into it. You take it at your own pace. And it's open to all ages, you know, from 16 up.
And it's for people of all fitness. As you mentioned, fitness doesn't come into it, ability levels. It's very inclusive.
It is very inclusive, yeah. Like, there's people on the pitch from 16 years of age right up until their 50s. Mm-hmm. The only difference is we're all females.
Yeah, that's good. And also, too, part of this conversation is to try and avoid people disqualifying themselves from this.
Exactly.
So no excuses. It's for all fitness levels, all abilities, on all ages. So there's no excuse, really.
No, there's not. You know, I suppose for people that doesn't even walk, you know, you come down, you take it at your own level and take it at your own pace. There's some of the people in it play rugby. Then the likes of myself, I've never played rugby. And it's just a whole different diversity of women. It's an hour where women come together. You don't have to worry about being on a pitch with men. And it's completely non-contact as well. So,
what do you say to people who go, but, like, I'm on my own and I don't really know anyone, and if I go down, no one will say hello to me and I'll feel awkward and I won't know what to do?
Or reach out to me. Text me first. I did do it last year. There was a lady who was quite nervous about coming down. I said, look, meet me in the car park beforehand. And I brought her over and I introduced her to the women. And like, we're all down there for the same reason. You know, none of us are going to go on and play for the Ireland ladies team. We're all down there because we want an hour. It's like the fitness that you can get from it. The first night your legs can be quite sore.
But that means it's working.
It is working.
Yeah, pain is good.
And then
when it
the
comes to
laughing as
fitter.
well is another thing.
That's a different set of
That's
muscles
a different
altogether, isn't it? Okay. And when is it starting again, or when's it open to everyone to come down and have a taster?
Yeah, so it's starting on the 23rd of April down at Letterkenny Rugby Club pitch at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8.
And then it's weekly thereafter.
It's
is it?
weekly then thereafter,
Okay,
yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Damien Mulcairns, it's not just obviously women's rugby, tag rugby, there's mixed, and there's lots of activities for children as well down at the rugby club.
There's a huge range of events down at the rugby club, Greg. As Anna Marie was saying, with regards to the women's tag rugby, you know, it's a real social aspect that the rugby is just a small part of it, and ultimately across all our ages from 4 up to 18s and up to senior rugby, it's all about having fun. You know, the rugby is just a side bar of it and a consequence, you know, but it's about the social inclusion of it. You know, we have kids down the rugby club, you know, who mightn't, you know, fit in everywhere, you know, with soccer or GAA.
Well, if you look at soccer
like
and Gaelic football, right, I think, you know, people are more inclined to say I'm good at it or I'm not. You know, soloing. It's not easy. Running and soloing, it's not for everyone. You know, controlling the ball, the eye to foot coordination for soccer, that not everybody has that. And those are the types of sports, and it's fantastic, brilliant work doing, but you can sort of see around you, right, I'm not really quite sure I fit in. Rugby's a little bit more inclusive in that because there's different roles, and I'm speaking more to younger people now, right? But there's different roles and different skill sets dependent on where you're playing on the pitch.
I might jump in there, Greg, because...
Get in there.
Yeah, I'll get in there.
Come on, scrum in the back here.
Get into the scrum, do you mean?
You said it was non-contact. Get off me.
So my son did try the different aspects of different sports, and he was always one of these children left on the bench. He does have neurodiversity, and thankfully a club came into the school to give him a try. And very quick, he started to like the rugby.
Yeah.
And if you've seen him now on the pitch, it's like he was born on the pitch. You know, rugby, it's so inclusive. You know, you don't have to be a fast runner.
He can find a position in that team that he excels in. So, you know, that's where... And we're not criticising GAA or soccer, but we all know we've had kids that played at teams and... Everyone wants to win.
Exactly.
And I know they took scoring out of GEA for a period for certain age groups, but everyone's keeping the score. You know what I mean? Like, so, and this is not a criticism of them. This is talking about there's an alternative. If you don't fit in there, maybe you fit into the rugby scene.
Exactly. And it's like with the event we have this summer as well, to give it a try. It's exactly for that, for people to give it a try and see if they like it. And as well as what you're saying is, you know, on a rugby pitch, you have your forwards, you have your backs, you have your front rows. So you have multiple positions on the field to cater for all. As well as that, there's a huge social aspect to the rugby thing. Like during the summer there, or prior to breaking up for the summer, we had a team travel down from Northern Ireland to play our under-14s team. And after the game, I heard one of the opposition team members saying, guys, upstairs for a cup of tea and a sandwich, because that's the most important part of it, which blew my mind. I was just thinking, this is fantastic because, you know, it's all about having fun. And our goal at the end of the day as mini conveners and mini coaches and the youth setup is to ultimately let the kids have fun. And we also have an ethos down there that if you turn up for your training and you take part of it, that you will be guaranteed game time. So it's all about.
And it's parents that feel that too.
I am one of them parents, Greg.
Whereby they're trying, you know how it hurts them inside.
And you see it every week on social media where a parent's saying that their child isn't getting ample time. Like within the section that I coach in, every child gets the same amount of time on the pitch, regardless of your different abilities. Every child gets on the pitch, and every child, for me and within my age group, like each one is as valuable as the next.
And that doesn't mean competitive children can't thrive in that environment as well, or regardless of the ability or attitude. It doesn't mean that
we need the fast runners.
Of course,
we need the strength. We need the people who is focused and getting in for the rucks, and we need them all.
I want to come back. We'll give another mention to the ladies tag rugby as well. But with the amount of people of all different ages that you're dealing with, obviously it puts pressure on the resources, doesn't it? And the more popular you are, the more pressure on the pitches and the space. And of course, then in terms of if you want to do stuff when we aren't blessed with long evenings, there's lighting issues and what have you. So there's a development draw, or is it, or a fund?
That's right.
What's happening?
That's right, Greg. As you were saying, it's a development fundraising event that we're running for the club. So we've organised a nice prize, which is a 4 nights stay in Chicago for November, which includes flights, 4-star accommodation, transfers, and the most important thing, 2 tickets to Ireland versus the All Blacks, which is the rematch of the game 2 years ago, which we won. And there's €500 spending money, so it's a fantastic prize, and it helps us develop the club, expand, and put the resources into the mini football or into the mini setup and the youth.
And if anyone wants to buy a ticket, how do they get their hands on one? Because obviously, this is one of those things, right, whereby what you're doing is you're supporting the Letterkenny Rugby Club and what they're doing, but also you are in with a chance to win the prize. So it's a win-win, isn't it?
It's a win-win.
So your money's not lost if you don't win.
No, it's a lovely prize. I'd love it myself. Yeah. You can find the link on our Facebook page, Letterkenny Rugby Club. That'll take you directly to the be able to purchase the tickets. They're €10 for one, or 3 for €25, but it's a fantastic prize, like 4-star accommodation in Chicago for 4 nights and flights and transfers, and €500 spent of money on the tickets.
That is pretty tasty. Right, so 23rd of April and through the summer, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. till 8 p.m, women are invited to take part in tag rugby, and it's women only. It's a fun, by the sounds of things, a fun and safe environment for women to participate together. We don't want any excuses about your fitness or whether you've played rugby or anything like that. You're not going to get rugby tackled by Anna Marie. That's not what this is about. This is a different form of rugby. It's fun. It's competitive, right? You can get
even if you're a man sitting listening to this, we do have a mixed tag rugby, which is starting back up in May, and we're in the early stages of developing children's tag rugby throughout the summer as well. So any woman listening,
we were talking about thatching earlier on, and now we're talking about rugby, and the common thread is tea and sandwiches. We just love tea and sandwiches with everything we do.
Exactly.
Whether you're thatching or rugbying.
It's definitely.
Okay. More information on everything we've discussed there, Letterkenny Rugby Club. You can get more details on that great prize that's on offer as part of the club's development fundraising draw, and it's got a nice rugby focus to it as well, with the tickets that are up for grabs. Anne-Marie, in terms of your enthusiasm, if you could bottle it, the place would be packed. I'm sure it will be in any case. It's 16 and up, by the way, for the girls and women.
16 and up, and the reason being is just that, I suppose, no woman, a mother, wants to come down onto the pitch to have an 8 or 9 year old girl on the pitch.
No.
So it's 1 hour for,
and it's just us paying them back for them not wanting to be on Facebook with us.
Yeah.
And also too, I just want to just because there's other parents with children with additional with additional needs or neurodiversity or what have you. This has worked really well in your house. Your son has thrived as part of the mini rugby.
Even just
setup.
the contact, and Greg, especially weeks where it might be more challenging when he goes to training and he comes off the pitch. he's a completely different
Mm.
person, and that's why my role was established last year.
Yeah.
Through the exec was,
And he seems better too, I'm
'cause,
sure, as well.
Yeah, the RFU have seen that hidden disabilities is something that is positive within rugby.
Yeah, for sure.
And if anybody, thinks, oh, would my child want to try rugby, reach out to us, you know,
And even
drop us a
youths.
line. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
fantastic.
a community organisation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's run within the community for the community.
And we do
and
have a
that's
lot
all
of
the community. We're all different, aren't we?
Yeah, we do have a lot of youths and minis down in the club who have neurodiversity, ranging from autism to ADHD.
But the whole idea is that they all blend,
Yes.
isn't it? It's not like, there's, it's the fact that they're all excelling as to their best of their ability.
The best way to explain it, myself and Damien, we look nothing alike. We haven't got the same body builds or nothing, but there's a place for both of us on that pitch, and that's what we're trying to say with women.
As long as we're on the one team, because
Yeah. Exactly. No, it's a great way
Yeah.
of putting it, actually. Okay, and that'll be in the mixed tag environment, for an example, which starts in May. Ladies, girls, the 23rd of April, put it into your diary. That's the day you're going to get involved. Get more information from Letterkenny Rugby Club on their socials.
Yep.
Are we happy enough?
Yep.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Okay,
Greg.
keep on rocking. We'll be back. You see what I did there?
Yeah, very good.
Because it's keep on
You'll have to come
trucking.
down now and
keep on trucking. If I did all the stuff I promised, I'd go down and do
Well,
it.
Greg, the mixed
I'd
tag,
be-
think about it
yeah,
now.
I'd be
Think
built
about
like
it.
a S-brick house. I'd have a full head of hair. When talking to someone about turkey, I'd be doing that. But anyway, no, I thought that's quite clever. Keep on trucking. Have you used that before? Keep on rocking.
Keep on rocking.
Yeah,
Rocking.
That's it.
because trucking.
That's a new hashtag for Letterkenny
and
Rugby
then
Club.
rocking is what you do in.
Exactly.
I can come up with more. If we got, can we wait 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Please come in for 5 minutes. No, we'll have to just go with that one. All right, thanks. See you in a bit.
Thanks.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Mary Kennedy here. Now that I'm 70, I'm feeling as vibrant and full of life as ever. But I also know that with age comes new challenges, like the risk of osteoporosis. Ladies, our bones support us. Now it's time for us to support them. If you're a woman aged over 65, make time for your bone health and break the silence around osteoporosis by talking to your GP or by visiting www.irishosteoporosis.ie. Remember, investing in your bone health today means staying strong and independent tomorrow. In association with the Irish Osteoporosis Society, organised by Amgen.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Now, on the programme's Kieran Dorian.
Ireland Radio Time Checks, brought to you
Beg your
by
pardon?
EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time is 11:20. Sorry, I was too excited to welcome Kieran Dorian, writer and director of Ardra, A Tale Woven Through Time. It's a new short film about the town of Ardra, produced by Lauren McHugh and Natalie Loch in Awake Tourism, and the film speaks to the culture, history, nature and crafts of the town. Good morning to you, Kieran. Thanks so much for your time.
Hi, Greg. Thanks a million for having me on.
No, it's great to have you on. So where did this project begin, and how did we get to where we are?
Very good. Yeah, I suppose I'd probably have to take a little zoom back and say that the film is part of a multi-phase project involving the reinvigoration and let's say reimagination of the Heritage Centre here in Ardra. When they first opened it, when they redeveloped it as a courthouse in 1993, they put in a lot of panels, and as you can guess, over the years, those sort of panels had been kind of dated a bit with, sunlight and weathered and a bit in wear and tear. So the first phase of this sort of redevelopment of the Heritage Centre, there's a group here, a community group here in the town called Awake Tourism, and they got funding from the Heritage Council and support from Donegal County Council to refresh and update those panels. So the first stage of theirs was to the original role of the Heritage Centre was kind of concentrated largely on the weaving and textile industries in Ardra. And I think they really wanted to expand the concept and meaning of history and heritage in the area. So Awake Tourism, they gathered community members together to get a sense of what heritage means in the town in Ardra today, and like essentially how we express our culture down there and our folk life. And that sort of feedback was brilliant and sort of instrumental in kind of redeveloping that space. So the panels that are there at the moment, they kind of they tell sort of two stories. Like the first story would be, let's say, our tangible heritage in the community, and the wider area of that would be the stuff you can touch, like the
before we move on to other types. Talk to me about Doon Fort. Because even just scanning this, I wasn't aware of it. This is, and in fairness, the drone shots are wonderful. This is a remarkable island structure. What is it?
Yeah, well, Doon Fort is an amazing piece of architecture and heritage and stuff like that. At the moment, it isn't accessible, and there's a local kind of community group that have sort of been tasked sort of with its sort of redevelopment and trying to get that upkeep. It's actually very similar to Green Analia in Letterkenny. So obviously there's probably a lot of cross-pollination between the developers and stuff like that.
Very similar. It's similar in shape and also the internal steps and stuff. There really is. But what is its function in the middle of a lake?
Yeah, well, actually, if you look at the segment in the film, we kind of discussed some of the ideas, and when you look at it first, you would sort of assume that maybe it's almost like a sort of has a military function, that it's there kind of if so whatever local tribes were being attacked, you'd put everybody in boats and sort of bring them back into to the island, and that's what I thought it would be. But for a lot of people, would also theorize that it could be just ceremonial. That at times some of the the great seasonal celebrations throughout the year, they would use it as a point of ceremonies, and there's a lot of mystery about it, and I don't want to talk too much because it'll be wading into an area of expertise.
No, I know, but okay, so I'll move
us on. There'll be a lot of historians out there that will be.
How do I not know about this stuff? Kilclooney Dolmen. That's
yeah, Kilclooney Dolmen, like that is kind of well advertised. Both of them are kind of well advertised.
This is my ignorance here, right? I just maybe they're not well enough advertised for us here in this county, because I'm embarrassed to say I've been around Ardra, I know Ardra. I just wasn't aware of these structures. So, I mean, I'm the person you're reaching as well as sort of an international market as well. Like these are amazing things, Kieran.
100%, and that actually just goes back even just to the point it was saying that when Awake Tourism was redeveloping the Heritage Centre, originally there was that focus on the textiles, and that's very much important and very much important to the story. But there's a whole history, like the history of human settlement in the Donegal region goes back 6,000 years to the late Neolithic. So there's a long, prehistory, and we've got all these structures like the dolmen, the standing stones. There's, Dr. Lachlan McGill he's like the centerpiece of the film, and he has a fantastic book called In St. Connell's Footsteps, and that sort of traces St. Connell's journey through Donegal during the 6th, 7th century. And all those sites are sort of mentioned. But there is a thing, I was lucky enough when I was growing up, we always had a sense of adventure, so we were always out exploring localities. So people in Ardra would know about these things, or most people would. But beyond Ardra and in the county, a lot of people don't know there's these fantastic sites. Now, at the moment, Doon Fort isn't accessible, and I understand that's going to change hopefully in the near future. They have to, obviously they want to sort of preserve it, but when we were young, we were able to get a boat off a local farmer who lived in the area and take a rowboat out and explore Doon Fort on our own. Now, you can understand in the present day and age, with mass tourism, you don't want that sort of level of traffic coming to Doon Fort.
There's a balance to be struck in everything, though, isn't there? There really is a balance. And of course, you mentioned you can't talk about Ardra without talking about textiles and weaving and wool and all of that type of stuff. And that features heavily in the programme as well, or in the documentary or the feature.
Yeah, that's it. And to be honest, it was almost sort of an organic thing that sort of happened. It was a very important part of the film. It was always going to be sort of first and foremost, but it actually, naturally, the title of the film is like Ardra, a tale woven through time, and we start back in history with those like large geographical features, and then we weave through those prehistoric monuments, and we talk about the landscape and the early settlers. Communication and celebration of the landscape through these structures. And then the weaving actually just naturally comes about of this, because as Michael Malloy there says in the film, that the people just took these natural products from the land, the byproducts of wool, and you created these, beautiful garments and kind of intricate patterns that not only did they take the landscape, or the byproducts from the landscape, they used the colours that they seen every day, the lovely purple heathers and the yellow hues and stuff like that, and they weave it into the garment. So naturally, there's a conversation between the textiles with the very landscape that they're trying to represent. So not only are we trying to show Ardra to the rest of the county, the rest of the country, and the rest of the world, but we're also trying to show to our local people like that, it's a celebration of their own life and their own industry and their own sort of the indigenous talent.
Yeah, there's some great archive footage in there too of presidential visits and activities taking place in the town. The town itself, of course, is also historical.
Absolutely. Well, that was great. Like, one of the things when I was making this film, and it does help to be from Ardra and stuff, but at every turn, like let's say every problem that I would have, I'd bump into somebody who would have a solution or something like that, or who would know somebody who was sort of connected. So like Paul McHugh is one of the original founders of Awake Tourism and part of the board that helped develop the Heritage Centre in '93, and I have a fantastic interview with him. But in the interview, he talks about when Mary Robinson came to the town, and it was a great day for the park. And he speaks very well, but when you're kind of editing these things, you always want a visual kind of aid to kind of complement what the person is saying. And I remember we had a screening to the members of Awake Tourism. I was very nervous that night because I'd been working away in it for about a year and nobody'd seen anything, and it was quite, I was almost afraid to show it. But I remember we showed that part, and I said, yeah, it would be really good to get some footage of that night. And somebody goes, oh, I think my mum has actually videotaped that day. I'll see if she got it. And that was Maria Kennedy. She contributed her films, but I remember she gave me an old DV tape. I transferred it over to video, and when I finally got it into the edit suite, it was just one of those really fortuitous moments, because exactly what Paul was saying, you had this beautiful visual representation that, the Kilgar band leading Mary Robinson into the town, the sense of celebration. And then when you get to hear Mary Robinson's speech, and you're just sitting in the edit suite, and she's absolutely just articulating what I think is the themes and what I'm trying to get in the film, the celebration of our local heritage, our weaving and textile, and how that very much is the Ardra story that we need to put out there. It was just one of those brilliant moments.
And of course, Stephen McCahill has to make an appearance. How could you have a documentary about Ardra without?
Stephen was a massive help with this.
Are people from Ardra as proud as anyone in this county? I think, of any particular area. We're all proud of where we're from, but there is a particular pride that you hear from Ardra people, or am I just blowing smoke?
I don't know if it's a pride, and if it is a pride, it's a quiet pride. You know, there's pride in their work, and in their music, and you know, their day-to-day life. You know, there's a pride in their farming and their fishing and their JAA, but it's quite a what I would say it's a humble pride, if anything. But now, since this film has kind of gone up online, and it only went up last week. And I think we're about 35,000 views already, and that's without any sort of promotion. But the best part of it for me is that all the locals who've kind of either sent me out a Facebook message or wrote a comment on the Facebook, and they were just saying that how much they liked the film, how much they sort of emotionally responded.
Yeah, but that film, the growth
and
of
I guess that reveals a certain pride, because a few people have said to me, like, you know, I only live out the road, and I feel nostalgic, or I feel bittersweet, you know. So yeah, there probably is a pride. And
I mean, it's had great views so
Ardra
far.
has a lot to be proud of, you know.
And it's had great views so far, but the growth of this video will be organic over weeks and months. Do you know what I mean? It's 40,000+ views already. Don't get me wrong, incredibly impressive, but this will end up with hundreds of thousands of views over time, because it's there, it's locked in, and its benefit will not be easy to measure, but it will be very, very beneficial, and it's there forever. And as I say, it's definitely going to blow up, and it's going to be organic because it's beautiful. It's fine. You can plug stuff, but when people find stuff, that's when the true viral element comes to it. And I've no doubt that will happen with Ardra, A Tale Woven Through Time. If people want to have a look at it,
fantastic.
Kieran, how do they? Where do they find it?
Yeah, if you can go on the ardra.ie website. It's hosted on that page, and it's also on the ardra.ie Facebook page.
Okay, and of course, the music, literature, that's all features in it as well. A caller says, don't forget the famous Welsh poet Dylan Thomas weekly trip to Ardra when he spent the summer of 1935 in the port. Okay, there you go.
Oh, he did, and like one of the there's a section in the film about the you know, Ardra being the home of the festivals and that, and we have amazing festivals throughout the year. I think with the Johnny Doherty festivals coming up, and then with the Wild Atlantic Way festival. Yeah, but the Walking Festival is a big one there, and we do walk from Port de Mahara, and you'll see you'll pass by where Dylan Thomas had his cottage and wrote some famous letters from up there.
All right, brilliant stuff. Well done, Kieran, on that work. That's Kieran Dorian there, the writer and director of Ardra, A Tale Woven Through Time. Visually beautiful, but it has beautiful subject matter to work with. Anne-Marie is our son's rugby coach, under 7s, and she's so great with the kids. The kids all love her. She gives so much of her time to the coaching and treats all the kids like they were her own. She's outstanding, and I am not surprised by that, because she radiates joy, positivity and warmth. I'm saying that just from sitting opposite her. She just radiates that, and it's infectious, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to take a break. We've got some business news on the way with Chris Ashmore, because the Business Matters podcast from Highland Radio drops today.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The gas part about Flowgas is that we do fixed electricity rates for businesses. And what's even more gas is we do solar panels and EV charging for businesses too. So switch today at flowgas.ie/business or call 041 214 9555. Because the gas part is only part of it. Flowgas, energy for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Visit flowgas.ie.
On Cloud Trainers' new collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Cloud Monster 2 from Max Cushioning and Max Energy Return. Cloud Runner 2 with Cloud Tech cushioning to absorb impact. Enjoy this supportive feel-good running shoe. On Cloud Trainers for all-day activity with comfort and versatility. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Who's watching your home while you're asleep, at work, or on holiday? With the Sheridan Security Alarm System, you can be assured of round-the-clock monitoring. Our central monitoring station is on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic, and medical signals, giving you the peace of mind you deserve. Sheridan Security Systems, Bonagee, Letterkenny. Protecting what you value most. Call us for a free quotation on 91-26025.
Has your couch seen better days? Does your wallpaper have more history than a museum? Well, it's time for a makeover. Highland Radio and Foy's are giving you the chance to win €10,000 to transform your home, plus €10,000 in cash. And just to make things even better, we're giving away €1,000 every day from the 7th to the 11th of April. Grab your ticket now at highlandradio.com and your home might thank you.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Thanks so much for your texts and comments coming in throughout the morning. A caller says, on the point of Musk being able to solve problems without even feeling it in his wallet, remember when he offered to cure world hunger if someone did the maths for how much it would be, which was something like 16 billion, but this was short after he became the richest man in the world, and he proceeded to not do that and is now destroying aid agencies that help feed the world. And this is the shutdown of USAID. And, you know, USAID was sending money for silly things that the American taxpayer wouldn't want it to be spent on, but it also was providing feeding programs in Sudan and what have you. And it's the same with NGOs. You know, this NGO has become a bad word now. Yeah, there are NGOs that you wonder, why the hell are we funding them? But that doesn't mean there aren't very worthwhile NGOs also. But unfortunately, the blunt instrument doesn't take into account these things. Greg, you were talking to the parish priest of Buncrana, and he was saying he was talking from Father Hegarty's Rock. I'm delighted to see a beautiful statue dedicated to this priest, ordained by Oliver Plunkett back in the early 1800s there now. Please have a discussion on the new statue and tell your listeners how he was beheaded and the lovely natural cross on the rock. Well, we spoke to Father Hegarty. We spoke to the parish priest, Father Bradley, as it was being unveiled on the day it was unveiled, and we've posted pictures of it on our social media and all that type of stuff. And we did talk about in our conversation, I believe also we've touched on this with our historian Dr. Joe Kelly in the past. We also touched on the fact that he was out in the sea and he was called back and promised this, that and the other, and he did call back. He did come back. He trusted those, the redcoats, wasn't it, that said he would be safe, and ultimately he wasn't. So yes, there's an awful lot of history there. If we haven't already done it with Dr. Joe, we'll definitely do it down the line. A caller says ambulance services are too busy travelling to Galway for angiograms. This is why there are no ambulances available. Beds are also taken up in the hospital for a week of people waiting for angiograms in Galway. That's reloaded now. You can try again there. Hi Greg, you referred earlier to an old post box. Some of these are protected structures, just like some of our thatched cottages. And Oshin sent that in and has I wonder, Oshin, I can't click into that URL at the moment. I wonder why phone boxes weren't included. I do understand that phone boxes became defunct, but I think we were too quick to modernise them, A, but B, also to remove them from the locations. They are beautiful things. I don't know. I personally, I find the old phone box absolutely beautiful. There was another thing too in reducing the phone boxes, that it was often an outlet for people who, say, for instance, were in abusive relationships and had their movements and phones monitored, and we took that away from them as well. Oshin, thank you for that. Hi, Greg. A lot of Falcara and Go-to-Hawk people are very sick, they say, with norovirus, but I know two who've been tested and have cryptosporidium parasites. So I think this is why the water's being switched off to clean it out. Normally we would get an advisory on drinking water. We haven't received that. That doesn't mean that your theory is not true, but I think that's something that needs further investigation. Could you please ask people jogging, cycling, etc. on the roads to wear high vis in all weather conditions? We've areas of low visibility like sun in your eyes, and I've noticed a lot of people not making themselves as visible as possible to ensure their safety. That's common sense. I think we might all agree with that. As many farmers are faced with no water this morning or no water supply close by due to the outages, I'd suggest we all start calling Irish Water on 1-800-278-278. That's the only hope to keep the pressure on them, as many voices will be harder to ignore. We simply need water tankers in West Donegal, I believe, until the faults are resolved. That comes in from Councillor Michael McClafferty. And there's definitely a priority given to problems where many people call. You could get 100 people that get together and one person calls. That's one call, that's one person. Not a big problem. If your water's out, keep the pressure on. Get in touch with them. We were talking about the walk at Knocknaria. No, sorry, I beg your pardon. I've read that already. Interesting, Gregory, pensions. My entire pension fund was wiped out at the weekend. It was a difficult pill to swallow, but sit tight. What goes down must come up. So hopefully it's a long-term investment and you can get the short shocks. But trust in Trump or the world markets, whatever it might be. Hopefully that recovers for you. What happens to people with additional needs who don't attend education? What services are in place for them, says the listener. Has anyone noticed to find dust on their cars and in the air? Has anyone got health concerns? Sean Quinn was given out about the state of my vehicle in relation to that. That was sub-Sahara dust that was whipped up and blown up and deposited here. So that's happened quite a bit. Was it Dolores had washed her windows and then they were a mess? Right, Chris Ashmore joins me now. Hi, Chris.
Good morning, Greg.
We're going backwards. We'll be talking over Morse code, the way things are going. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, yeah. How's your Morse code? What about the old telex machine, Greg? You're old enough to remember
pigeons, or maybe 2 cups and a piece of string. We'll batter on nonetheless, Chris, because you do have some news for us today. And there's always a bit of a buzz around the Donegal County Council's film office, and there's an event ongoing. Talk to me about that.
Yes, now in collaboration with...
I can't hear you, Chris. Sorry, I think your mouthpiece is covered there.
Now, Donegal County Council's film office, they have announced a new emerging talent fund for people who are in this sector. So whether you're a writer, producer, director, this is a chance to get involved and to get assistance with the production of maybe a small film. And as we know, this can generate quite a spin-off for the local economy when people involved in filmmaking, and the Donegal County Council film office is very active. So if you want to find out about this fund called
Chris, I'll tell you, Chris, with the best will in the world, the phone line is just poor, and I know we're having a little bit of technical issue, so we might just fast forward, if you don't mind, Chris, and sorry to brush over your effort, we might just fast forward to what's on the show today, because the line just isn't fantastic, if that's all right with you, Chris.
Well, yep. So on Business Matters this week, my guest is Chairman Man Mark Gallagher, who some of you may know from his Highland radio work. He's part of the sports team and the production team. But outside of Highland, along with his partner, Athea, they have a revenue-generating YouTube channel, which is called Something to Remember. And they have produced a series of very informative and wonderfully interesting videos from all over the world, Greg, from Planet Lighthouse to Guatemala, Sri Lanka. Now, significantly, this is a form of passive income, and this will be of interest to a lot of people because Mark gives us a real insight in how you actually monetize a business through YouTube, and I think you have a clip there in which he explains more.
We set up the YouTube channel in 2021 with 0 subscribers, just our friends and family, and even to get your friends and family can be a bit of a discussion to get them to subscribe, because the word subscribe to people sometimes mean you have to pay for something. So it always frustrates me with YouTube, where like Instagram and TikTok is like or follow. People are familiar with those words, but for some reason that word subscribe, it's kind of like, do I have to pay for this or what's the story? So you have to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within 12 months, which was difficult. We started the channel in 2021. We didn't make a single penny from it until March 2023. So nearly 2 years of just creating content and just hoping that it's going somewhere. And as I say, then when you start making money, you're not making that much money at all because you've just kind of reached the threshold. It's called the YouTube Partner Program, where once you reach the threshold, 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours, they contact you and invite you into their partnership program. And then you set up all your details, your account details, your tax information, all that kind of stuff. And it's actually Google AdSense that you're getting paid from, because it's all the ad revenue that's the reason that you're getting paid. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, because we hear an awful lot about people monetizing content online, and we've got our own Mark Gallagher and his other half, Asia, to tell us all about that. Brilliant stuff, Chris. The podcast is available right now for people to listen to on demand. It's also broadcast on Sunday. And what time and how do people contact you, Chris?
It's broadcast on Sunday after the 6 o'clock news, and if you want to contact me, you can email me on businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Chris, thanks very much indeed, and for overcoming the technical difficulties with us. We'll be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Every decision, moment and experience has shaped who I am today. I still live at home with the support of a wonderful team who provide home care with respect for who I am, empowering me to live my life my way.
Your life, your way. Visit dovida.ie.
Here at Braden's House to Home and Tears, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home and Tears, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, so Irish Water say a reservoir disruption may affect supply to Falcarra Village, Derry, Connor and surrounds between 10 p.m. until 9 a.m. from the 7th of April until the 10th of April. It is due to return tomorrow. That's a big outage affecting an awful lot of people. There is some concern and some word on the ground that outage might be more prolonged than that. So I don't want to alert anyone. I don't want to cause concern to anyone, but we are trying to get some clarification as to when that water supply actually will be returned. Is it in line with that? Or is it going to be longer? And also try and get some clarification as to why it was, what the reservoir disruption actually means, because there is some concern out there. Right, Joseph Kelly is Executive Librarian with Donegal County Council, and he joins us on the show now. How are you getting on, Joseph?
Not too bad, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you with us. Right, now, and there's been a bit of a theme over the last day or two through sport or education or whatever it might be about inclusion and helping people where help is needed. And the Library Service has just launched a suite of resources aimed to help adults improve their English language skills. We're talking reading, writing, grammar, comprehension. Where did this initiative come from?
So I suppose it started off last year. There'll be a lot of cooperation between the Library Service and then with Donegal ETB as well. Adele McElhenney as the regional adult literacy coordinator, and they have a coalition which aimed at improving adult literacy across the county. And the library would work really closely with Adele and the coalition on that. And there's something called Adult Literacy for Life. That's a strategy of the government. It's all about improving literacy across the board. And there was some funding available, and the library applied for funding in order to acquire books that would be aimed at adult literacy learners, and then also to create resources that those students or those learners could use as they're reading the books as well, and that tutors could use with them. So that's what we did.
And are tutors required? Is this laid out in a way whereby people perhaps who have literacy issues, or indeed perhaps maybe English isn't their first language and they wish to learn English, so can you sort of work with this material yourself, or does it require a tutor?
No, you could work independently. The resources are all available free online, like all the library services. Everything's free. It's there on our website. You don't have to have a tutor. I could even be a case of if a parent wanted to use them with a child at home as well, maybe with older teenagers. That's a possibility too. It's up to yourself. And the thing is, there's 8 different resources, and each of those is linked to a novel, and the library service has 40 copies of each of those titles as well. 4 of the titles are aimed at people who maybe are adult literacy learners, because 1 in 5 people in Ireland, they've got literacy needs, reading and writing as an issue. And then the other 4 titles are aimed at specifically at people who are learning English as an additional language. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are designed to maximise someone's potential. Do you know what I mean? You haven't pulled these out of the sky. It's an established programme that will best assist people to improve their skills.
Exactly, 100%. And they were created by people who have a lot of experience working with adults. They're tutors themselves. They know exactly what's useful, what's needed. They've been laid out in a way that's easier for people who might have literacy issues to read as well. Even the four of the books, they're specifically relevant to people who might have dyslexia as well. There's a certain font and a certain color of paper that you can use. So all those small things. And then the other thing as well about reading and about books, if you've had bad experiences of literacy in the past, maybe you were at school, you were handed a book, you didn't like it, you didn't get to the end of it, you can see yourself as maybe not being a reader, as being a failure. But these books are shorter, so there's a great sense of achievement in finishing a book.
And not
yourself
everybody
with a group.
is. Not everybody is, and I wasn't fantastic at this at all. In fact, I was crap. To learn in that sort of traditional school environment, and may not want to return to that as an adult, and they can do this themselves. And as you say, the tools are there available for teachers, or whatever the phrase might be. But also too, there's an opportunity here. These resources are there now for little book clubs or groups to pop up in areas and use these resources, and people can work together on their skills as part of a group, perhaps.
100%, and I think there's something really special about reading in a group environment as well, and I can bring the book alive, because you're having a discussion, and this character should have done that, or this character, I thought he should have done this instead, or maybe we could change this ending, and lots of opportunities for people to be creative and maybe do a bit of creative writing, and that's really good for our mental health as well as developing our literacy skills. And as you say, we'd really encourage, Greg, book clubs. All you have to do is pop into your nearest library. There's 13 libraries all across Donegal, and even if you're in a particular area and there's not a library there, you can set up your own book club, and you can take the books away with you and meet up in your local hall or centre, whatever it is you want to meet to read the books. So that doesn't have to take place in the library.
All right, okay. And the library is an open, welcoming space too. Call in, have a chat to the staff, and tease it out with them there as well. They're there to help.
100%. Library staff on the front line, they're there to help. There's no fines anymore. That's someone, some people they could be, people who are.
I know, I know. It reminds, it's just my mind works really quickly, and I just remember stories of people having a €23 late fine and stuff. But no, yeah, fines are gone. That's great.
That's complete amnesty. So look, and if a book does go missing, it's missing in action, presumed red. That's the way we look at it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much indeed for that. Take care of yourself. Joseph Kelly there, Executive Librarian with Donegal County Council. So where are we on Friday? We are in Irish Pressings in Gweedore. We're taking the show on the road. If you're listening at home, it'll be a very familiar show for you, but it also gives us an opportunity to hear about the interesting work that Irish Pressings is undertaking in the west of this county, and their markets and maybe their views actually on tariffs as well. Might be quite interesting if they export a lot, which I'm sure they do. And we'll have our Friday panel and all of that, but we're out in Gweedore. I think we're inside a building, so we can't really invite people to come and see us as much as we'd love to. But it'll be a great audio experience for you all. So that's on Friday, us out and about in Gweedore. Looking forward to that. And hopefully the weather holds out. We were speaking to a lady who was frustrated at having to use phone services to get basic information. Press 1 for this. Well, now, obviously, and it is to respect and enhance the use of our language, but now often when you ring an arm of the state, there could be 40 seconds in Irish and then another 40 in English, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and your option is there, and then you have to listen back. Then you throw the phone down or throw it into the sea. But caller says, I think that it will get to the point where nobody will speak to anyone on the phone. You have the younger generation who just Google everything. With working hours, people are also looking to book appointments online for convenience. Everything will be automated. Well, very soon, very, very soon, you will start seeing AI answering phones. And I don't think it's going to be in the traditional push 1, push 2, push 3, because they'll be able to answer numerous calls at the same time. The AI will answer the phone conversationally. So it'll be, hello, this is Greg Hughes, your AI companion. What can we do for you today? And you would say, I would like to speak about my car insurance. And they'll go, okay, do you wish to change your policy or do you want to renew your policy? And then you'll say, well, it's not that. I need a new tax disc. And they'll go, oh, okay. And that's the way it will be. God, that sounds ridiculous. But that's the way it will be. And it'll be like that in the not too distant future. That's where we leave it. We're back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy.